Benny Heiss. Ben
Nice.
Heisler join us in the 1 o'clock hour today. It'll be good to catch up with him, see if he here or not. Or that,
He said he's done it before.
You should tell him he has to wear that. Text
For at least
him.
part of it?
Yeah, you got to walk in the door wearing the mascot, whatever the
Tell him
mascot's
about my
called.
mascot plans for this show one day.
Maybe we can borrow that.
See what he thinks about our mascot's going to do some different stuff. So I don't know if H&R Block wants me in that outfit.
Yeah. So
Saying things I
Heisel
shouldn't
will
say.
join us.
Giving more Italian puns for Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino, I'm not sure how they'll feel about that.
Vern's going to join us as well around 12:45 from Surprise, Arizona. But in the 1 o'clock hour yesterday, we pivoted a little bit because at that time it was breaking news that Trey Smith was going to have the franchise tag placed on him.
Yeah.
And so we'll carry some of that over today and different ways to discuss it now that the initial reaction has settled of a little bit of surprise. The way the Chiefs are going about this offseason, it already looks like, and the way they've gone about their teams over the last couple years, they are doing something that nobody else is doing. Now, it's equated to 3 rings in 5 or 6 years or whatever it is now at this point in time. So nobody can be like, oh, my gosh,
it's a terrible plan.
They don't know what they're doing. But it is pretty wild to think that currently, as it sits today, once the franchise tag, if it ever gets signed or if Trey Smith gets the long-term deal, you're talking about $50 million potentially next year alone, if they don't alter the cap hits, on guard. That is not how 90%...
70 if you add a, 36-year-old tight end?
Sure. That's not how 90% of teams, if not 99% of teams are going about their business in the NFL. It is unique, and I'm trying to figure out why are they doing it differently, and what I keep coming back to is perhaps when you have a head coach like Andy Reid, who's a future Hall of Famer, who, of course, handpicked Brett Veach, right? It was his guy from Philadelphia after John Dorsey was shown the door. That Andy Reid, let's not forget, as much as we say Brett Veach makes the decisions, this to me tells me that Andy Reid is even more involved than we think in retaining players and all of that, because that's the only reason why I can think Brett Veach would build a roster the way he has over the years, prioritizing linebacker and guard. That's not how most teams do it. And again, it's equated to success. So I'm not saying it's like stupid, but it tells me Andy Reid is heavily involved, and this is another one of those moves where maybe he's the reason why they're retaining Trey Smith.
So stupid, no. Okay, I would not say stupid. That would be ludicrous. They have been to 3 consecutive Super Bowls, 2 of which they won. Do I wonder to myself if they would have the same amount of success building it like every other team builds a roster? Yeah, I'm at least a little curious, because what's most interesting about it is the other successful teams in my mind who succeed year in and year out, the Eagles, the 49ers, they build a lot on the defensive line. The Chiefs don't even do that. Their highest paid player, one of their highest paid players, is Chris Jones, who they did give a contract to. But outside of that, you see him paying a bunch of big contracts to defensive ends, to other defensive linemen? Not big contracts, no. They're giving those money to guard, as you mentioned, linebacker. They've never paid a corner good money. They paid Tyreek Hill once a $54 million deal, and then the next time he was due up, they didn't pay him. Most teams pay corners, wide receivers, skill position guys, right? I mean, I don't have to go through the list. Guys who either guard the pass or catch the ball. That's where most of the teams spent their money. They have given free agent deals, big ones, to safeties twice, to linebackers twice, to guards a couple of times. You're like, nobody else does it like this? And I guess what I'm trying to decide is, do they do this because every quarterback's going to cost $1 jillion? And so what happens is that's where the hidden value is, right? Rather than pay a wide receiver $40 million, we can pay 2 guards $40 million, and we view it in there. I'm with you. I don't think any GM in the league would build it that way unless it was a guy who in head coach had a real say in this thing, liked to build it that way. I think part of what happens with Trey Smith is Andy Reid sits in a room and he says, I want an alignment I can trust. And this whole thing doesn't work and it falls apart unless there's a guard that I can trust. I'm hesitant to say that I love this version of team building, but I can also only be so critical based on the fact that the success is there. I can't argue with that.
And if you're Andy Reid and you are heavily involved in this decision and other decisions in the way you're building out the roster, you're looking any coach. This is not unique to Andy.
Yeah.
The coach wants the guys that can contribute right away and gives them the best chance to win today. And retaining Trey Smith gives them the best short-term chance to do that. Yeah. 2 years from now is where I'm more skeptical. Even though we're talking about the cap situation in the present, 2 years from now, is it problematic just based off of what you didn't address this offseason? Does the fallout happen now? Or if there ever is fallout, does it happen 2 years from now? That's something none of us can predict, but that's their job to predict that and what may or may not happen and project. And look, the cap is next year. The cap will be over $300 million next year, as in 2026, and in 2027 it'll be $320 million probably. This thing is going to keep going up. They're going to add more games eventually. They're going to keep playing international. Netflix is going to want to buy afternoon windows. The cap in 10 years is going to be over $400 million easily. That's just where we're heading. If we continue to see the percentage go up. So that part works. But I absolutely think this future extension that we think eventually happens for Trey Smith and the franchise tag alone, I would think Andy Reid had a huge, huge role in this.
Just look at I'll just be honest. If you look at the Chiefs' 2025 cap hits, other than Mahomes, who logically is going to be the highest paid player on the team, which is okay. Okay, so the next highest paid player is Chris Jones. Makes sense, right? Elite level pass rusher from the interior. We're good. Jawan Taylor, right tackle. I don't have a problem. People invest in tackle all the time. That's fine.
9.8% of the cap is Jawan Taylor.
But, okay, he's overpaid for who he is, Gold. But investing in tackle, again, not weird. It's right after you get the top three that you're like, huh? Because then it's a guard, a 36-year-old Travis Kelce, a center, Drew Tranquill, a linebacker, Mike Dana, a rotational defensive lineman, and Harrison Butker. Harrison Butker is one of the 10 highest paid people on this team as it currently sits going into 2025. And look, some of that's because they're young, right? Because then pretty much everybody after that is on either a rookie deal or a contract that they signed an extension that's not going to cost them that much to be a cap hit, right? Noah Gray, Trent McDuffie, Chanel. Everyone else is a rookie. So the fact that Butker's 10th is really just saying he's the 110 guys who's not on his rookie contract, not a rookie, on their rookie deal. But that means everybody they've signed an extension to in this top 10 are guard, center, old tight end, and I want Kelce back. So take it for what it is. I'm just talking from a team building perspective.
It's unique.
This is uncommon.
Yeah, it's unique. Someone on the text line says, "Don't forget that they paid Tooney big money, which comes off the books before Trey will get his big money." Well, that's what we discussed yesterday in the 1 o'clock hour. That this decision to retain Trey Smith, whether it's just on the tag or a long-term deal, means that, to me, you can't be giving an extension to Joe Tooney. You need to just stick with the cap hit this year and be done with it at the end of this year.
That's my feeling.
And then in 2026, your left guard, maybe it's Kingsley, maybe it's somebody else.
Yeah, and I think ideally it's Kingsley, and you get 2 years of him at guard to find out whether or not he's another guy worth being, because it's always the same thing. Let's just say Kingsley was a really good left guard. You go, well, now what are you going to do, pay both? No. He'd have 2 more years of his rookie deal. Trey Smith's deal is going to be 4 years, right? Probably most likely on the market. By the time Trey Smith's deal ran out, you would be in year 1 of Kingsley's deal, and you just run this cycle of going thing to thing. The only difference is, I assume Creed will actually get a 3rd contract with this team because they obviously value him. He rates out as one of the best offensive linemen in the league, so I'm already kind of penciling him in for a 3rd. But it's meant to be cyclical, and they're good about that. I'll say this. The Chiefs are good about that. The text line pointed out, which I think is also fair, which is they did try to pay Tyreek. Yeah, but they didn't. I know, and I point out the Tyreek thing when I just think that they do it, but the free agent dollars they've actually spent have not been at wide receiver. Over the last 3 years, what have they, honest to God, spent at wide receiver? They've started to spend some draft pick compensation, so they've started to value it to the point that it's worthy of them spending a second-round pick.
I see what you did there. Yeah, thank you, Cody. Yeah.
Spending a second-round pick, spending a first-round pick, those kinds of things on that position. They haven't paid anybody yet. They paid Tyreek Hill once. His number, they came to the table. They did try to pay him, but when the number went up, they're like, we're fine. And I do think they'll pay Trent McDuffie. So part of this conversation, and I do think they'll probably pay George Karlaftis. Probably. Which,
we'll get to someone that maybe they're not going to pay now, though, after this, a little bit later on this hour, and that's Nick Bolton. We can get into that a little bit. We'll keep talking about Trey Smith's fallout of the tag. We think a long-term deal eventually on the horizon as well. 20 minutes or so, what does it mean for left tackle? Because I think this also tells us something about how they feel the offseason can go at left tackle, and maybe also why they were willing to do this decision yesterday. with Trey Smith before the league year opens up next month. Now, away from on the field, we go off the field for a bit because, yet again, it's another day and some more news on the stadium front. The big update from yesterday was that there's a bill now that was introduced, hasn't been voted on yet, hasn't passed yet, but a bill was introduced in Missouri's, I guess it would be the Senate yesterday. There was a reading of a bill that would establish what they're calling a capital assistance program for stadiums. It was backed by Senator Barbara Washington, who represents District 9, which is in Jackson County. She sponsored the bill that would require at least 33% of the cost to be privately funded, and local government must cover 10% of the cost or provide other support. But this basically would allow them to offer teams, Royals, Chiefs. Now, it could be for any team, as Mayor Quinn Lucas was quoted yesterday saying, hey, this could be used in the future to attract a WNBA or NBA.
Sure.
But
NHL, Travis and Jason, we're talking about an NHL team.
But we know ultimately this is all about the Chiefs and Royals' future and why they're now considering, Missouri lawmakers are considering a bill that would offer team incentives to build in the state. It's a step forward. Is it too late? I guess it's not too late until the deal is signed in Kansas or something. If this was introduced, like I know the legislative session
6 months ago
just started in January, and so there's only a handful of states that have year-round legislative sessions. So ultimately, they couldn't have done this in October, in fairness. But you would have, why did it take till almost March to even introduce the bill?
Because they're worried about losing it.
Right. I think this is a last-ditch effort. Now, it puts them in a much stronger spot if it actually passes. The bill, the Star Bonds, in Kansas, 70% of the project is what that would supposedly pay for, using the Star Bonds on the Kansas side. This gets Missouri close. Now, the mayor, you take him at his word, if you will, on this. He says that they believe that this is actually a better offer than
I think that's kind of like me trusting
the Kansas deal.
Tom Brady's agent to tell me what happened for real. But
he says it allows him to unlock around up to $1.4 billion. And while it doesn't take away from other tax-funded programs, that's what they are saying about this bill that would need to still pass in Missouri. This makes a ton of sense. Again, I just wonder on the timing. The only thing I would say with this is a statewide program. This is not a city program. So this bill would allow other cities to do this. So if I'm in St. Louis and I'm the Cardinals, I'm saying, you know what? We love this idea too. How do we get this same type of deal? That's where I still wonder how it comes together. And is it good enough to keep one of the teams? Maybe. Both, I'm still very skeptical. I think this exact plan could be how they keep the Chiefs or how they keep the Royals, as in one of them. I don't know if this plan keeps both of them.
You and I both knew that they were going to have to unlock some funding mechanisms that did not include a public vote. And so I'll say they seem to have done that if they can get it passed. Can I be honest here? Based on this show's discussion of it, my current confidence level in the Missouri legislature, all-time low. I mean, seriously? Like, I don't know how many times we've gone over this. They haven't got anything done forever. I can't tell you the last time we came on this show and we're like, they did it this time. They finally put it together, Gold. They couldn't get sports wagering passed. They eventually just had to take it to a vote. They just had to put it to the people because, our guy Denny was getting in the way for a little while, right? But so I'm not uber confident in just the legislative part. This does, however, make a lot of sense, except for the same normal reasons, which is there are going to be people who fight against this because they're like, okay, so I still have to pay the taxes, but now I don't get a say in paying them. I told you I didn't want to pay them. And I understand. I would also just say that that's just generally how the legislative process sometimes works. Sometimes, Gold, they fund bills that cost you money that you don't. It's the same thing. You technically elected them to make these decisions. They're now making these decisions because they find the value in keeping the sports team. Unfortunately, if you didn't want to pay it, that's the way it works. I'm relatively confident that this is at least a good idea. Do I think it's going to happen for sure? I'd say I'm on the fence.
So I think the bill will ultimately pass, if that's what you're skeptical about. I think ultimately the bill in Missouri will pass. Does it lead to keeping both teams? That's where I don't believe it. But could this lead to how they fund one of the teams? How, for example, the Royals stay in Missouri or the Chiefs stay in Missouri? Yeah, I think this is a mechanism that could work for that. I just don't believe that it's going to result in both teams staying in Missouri. But this is the type of bill that if you're the Chiefs or the Royals, but I would say specifically the Chiefs, that you're saying, okay, this is This is
You're trying.
finally maybe something that could work for us to be able to get this done. That puts us at least somewhat competitively with what we know we can get already on the Kansas side.
I guess for this, it's like it always goes back to the same thing. I keep waiting to hear who's going to make the first move on this thing because I kind of think April 1st. I mean, don't you think that there's a limit goal before?
No, don't do it on April Fool's Day.
We got to. I know, but
don't do it then.
Just generally, you know what I mean. 1st of April-ish time, 2nd of April, if it makes you feel better. That eventually one of these teams is going to have to tip their hand. At this point, it's just both are talking to both, and they're just kind of leaving it out there. And now this funding where Mayor Lucas is obviously involved, which means he's okay with it from a city perspective. And like you said, generally speaking, if the governor's saying get this thing done, for the most part, that would tend to lean towards it going. They've had so many. I refuse to just be it'll probably pass. Just based on Missouri legislature's recent history.
Again, I think there's a big difference, though, between the bill passing and then actually getting the teams to
take the money.
Yeah, I think the bill will pass. It's just, does that lead to actually keeping both teams or a team? That is still very much in the air. Look, I'll tell you, I know that's not everything and how people view, in this case, a mayor. But if you're Mayor Quinn Lucas, every motivate you not want to be the mayor that loses or both the Chiefs and Royals. You don't want that. You don't want that to be how people remember you, because that would be a devastating blow.
And now you have a chance to be the mayor who kept one or kept
kept both would be a huge,
would be a huge win. But even if you kept one, you would at least get partial credit.
I don't know, man. You
losing one, losing the Chiefs.
I don't think so. Not when people say, "Hey, for 50 years we've had both." I don't think so. You lose one, and people are going to say, "Okay, what the hell happened?"
Losing both is when you're just
losing both is just it's over.
Yeah, that's where I kind of run into the issue. Look, I understand. Goes back to the same thing. They obviously thought that there would be a greater public thirst for the funding to keep them in Jackson County. They found out that wasn't the case. You and I had said from really the end of that vote that the next step would have needed to involve not asking people to vote for it. This offers you more of a chance. I will say, I still feel like there's got to be some hidden city funding that's got to be coming a part of this, infrastructure or some other stuff that Lucas is going to roll into the regular part of a budgetary system, because I don't think, based on the numbers they put out there, that this is as much as Kansas is offering, even if Lucas says it is. And I still don't feel like it's as much as they were originally asking. But that kind of goes back to the same thing. Maybe they don't need as much money as they were originally asking, Gold, because they've already caved, I think, in some of what was the original grandiose, we're going to build, I want to own it all, we're going to have this whole entertainment, we're going to have it all together. It already feels like they've taken that back scale by, 50%? 40%? I mean, it feels like they've scaled that back, right? So maybe it just needs less funding in general.
I mean, the only thing is the cost is only going up every single day this takes to start. The cost of
construction materials,
everything. Everything's only going up day by day. The longer it takes to get shovels in the ground, the construction costs, everything's just going up.
Yeah, the value of it. Yes, that's how it works. Sadly, that's how it works.
If they would have started this project two and a half years ago, the exact same specs and everything would have been way cheaper than what it's going to be tomorrow.
But this is also why they probably want to try to get moving a little bit, and maybe this will allow to do it. Do we know when they're going to introduce it, or it was introduced?
It was introduced.
Do we know when they're going to take this stuff to committee, vote on it, do that kind of stuff? Do I have to follow legislative hearings? That sounds awful. I don't want to do that.
It depends how bad. I mean, can they get it done very quickly? If they
can they just do it tomorrow if they wanted? How's this work?
So this goes back to elementary school, and there's a process of how a bill is passed.
I've seen that video.
It was it's in the.
I am familiar.
It was introduced in the Senate. Eventually, it will still have to go over the House or the committee between the two. Yeah,
I have seen that video.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill or whatever it is.
They all made us watch.
Now that's the federal government, but still.
Did Drew have to watch School of Rock, or is he too young?
No, I watched School of Rock. Yeah,
you did. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You did?
I watched it multiple times because every year they had to remind you.
I'm just checking. Someone asked you about White Men Can't Jump
everything.
Today, and you mentioned Ray Allen.
You thought Ray Allen was the main character in White Men Can't Jump.
Do you guys? I know. Okay, he's in one of those movies.
Not white.
No, I didn't say that Ray Allen was white. I know that he's not white. Okay.
Okay. No, it's fine. You were thinking he got game, presumably.
Yes, where he's got the two girls on the side. Oh yeah.
White Men Can't Jump is
Shout
the
out
one
to
with
Ray
Woody
Allen.
Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. They recently
Wesley
remade it, which I
Snipes.
thought would actually help you a little bit. They recently remade it with
Jack Harlow.
yeah,
wasn't
Jack
he
Harlow.
in
That's
there?
what it was. I was like, I never saw it. Did anybody see the remake?
It's a good choice.
I did not. I honestly really don't want to. I'm good with the original.
Love the first one is a
Yeah.
nearly perfect movie. I almost don't want to.
The only remake in recent history that has been maybe better than the original is the new Top Gun that came out. What was it, 2 years ago, whatever. The remake was incredible. I still think the original is maybe the winner, but like that's the only time where you said a remake was even close to an original.
Normally-
was the Top Gun Maverick, I guess, or whatever it was called. And I guess they're making a third one, which if they
Well,
do
now
that,
you
then
can
that
do, like,
one
better
There has to be a
the third one though,
storyline.
I'm a little nervous that one's going to be awful.
There's got to be a storyline that follows. Like if you just have a movie and it just ends and there's no teaser for another one, there's no potential look ahead, then it's hard to follow those up.
That's and you didn't like. I think if it needs special effects, you can improve. Like
Sure.
movies down the road, right? In a lot of ways, because like you can make that seem more realistic.
Yeah, it's time for an
There were no
Armageddon
special
remake,
effects.
Cody. It's
There were
time
no
for an
special
Armageddon
effects.
remake.
It also depends on how
Might
long.
get a better view of that asteroid.
That's right.
How long are the remakes also after the fact? Like yesterday, Shrek 5. I saw a trailer for Shrek.
That's still going.
Shrek 5 comes out in
The
2026.
original was an all-timer.
In fairness,
All-timer.
they do have all of the voice line. It was a team.
Eddie
they have
Murphy's still involved
Mike,
in everything?
Mike Myers is there. Eddie Murphy, Cameron
People-
Diaz, and then Zendaya is
Oh, a new character.
Shrek's kid, essentially Shrek and Fiona's kid.
I've lost track of the storyline after the first one, though.
Yeah, I saw the first two.
After the first two, it kind of went downhill, I believe.
Oh, maybe I
a
did
lot of
see
people
Shrek
were
too.
complaining because they said Shrek doesn't look like Shrek.
What do you mean Shrek doesn't look like
They
Shrek?
said it doesn't look like.
I think it's
they
heads
really
they
doesn't
posted
look
like a
like-
teaser photo and they said that his face looks wrong. man.
Someone says it's Top Gun wasn't a remake; it's a sequel. Whatever. Okay, but like the point being, well, then Shrek 6 is not a remake either. That's a sequel. I
They
guess.
said his face looks wrong. They said his eyes are too close or too big or something. I don't know. They redesigned him and he doesn't look like regular Shrek. I'm just telling you what the people on the internet are mad about today. And the answer is Shrek 5 and the redesign of his face. They don't like it.
similar to how they don't like the Fantastic Four redesign.
My kids have never
of,
seen a Shrek movie. Am I depriving them?
You
You've
should
never seen the
have
first
them go back and watch the original one.
I think the second one's always been the best one. I haven't seen the Shrek movie though in a very long time. It's been a while.
So Schoolhouse Rock, not School
I tried
of
to
Rock.
correct it, but then we were moving on, so I was like, whatever.
Hang on, you guys mentioned that.
Jack Black was teaching us how legislative action works.
Did you guys watch Osmosis Jones?
What's that
Did
again?
you guys watch Osmosis Jones?
Yes.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't like watching it a
I
bunch,
am also
but I
old
have,
enough for
have seen
Osmosis
it.
Jones.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that
Osmosis
makes
Jones.
sense. That was probably like early 2000s.
I feel
wasn't it?
like I get not that my generation gets a lot of disrespect, but people my age do because people don't think that we weren't involved with VHS.
You're a different
tapes.
generation, though.
And we
Cody and
had
I are
cassette
millennials.
tapes.
You're Gen Z, right?
I believe I am the first year of Gen Z. I am.
Yeah, so
I
you're
am,
Gen Z.
I think I
Different
consider
generation.
myself a hybrid though because I had VHS tapes. I grew up on the projector screens that they wheeled in on the
I
damn
know.
cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
TVs.
we're not the same because like I watched the OJ verdict on that cart, and
No, we are not the same for that reason.
and
I was too young for that one, even Cody.
that was such a big deal. I'm not kidding. We were in like third grade or whatever it was. It was such a big deal. They wheeled in the cart to show us the OJ verdict in elementary school, which is a wild thing to show.
Yeah, but you're-
a group of elementary school kids.
Yeah, see, you're 6 years older or whatever, right? So that's that. I'll say I was definitely not in school when that was going on.
No.
I was too little for the OJ chase.
Someone called me a Zoomer. There we go.
live.
I think after we get back from break, I'm gonna have to update you guys. There's an update on the
All
Desmond
right,
dating
let's
situation.
get to that. Good, bad.
Mixed.
Oh, okay.
As he put it, great news, terrible news.
Again?
A little of both. Yeah, a little of both.
Oh.
All right, we'll get that update together, and we'll talk more about what the Trey Smith franchise tag means for the left tackle situation with the Chiefs.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog is available to play in your state. This basketball season, when your favorite star scores, you can win money over at Underdog. Last night, for instance, it was a quick one. I liked Steph Curry to go higher than 26.5 points. That worked out pretty well. So it turns out Underdog is one of the leading apps you can play now in your state with with up to 1,000 times your money to be won. You can play with as little as $1. You can win up to $1,000. That's what your basketball knowledge could do. We know the Big 12 tournament is around the corner, giving you so many other opportunities to choose higher or lower on stats, points, assists, rebounds, and every other sport imaginable. Download the Underdog app and sign up using promo code TAPP, TAPP, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with that promo code TAPP, TAPP, to claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operate. Terms apply. Concern with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Pheasants Forever's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is coming to the Kansas City Convention Center this March 7th through the 9th. Join us for puppy and dog training seminars, a youth village for kids, pollinator and wildlife habitat hunting gear in the 20th anniversary of Quail Forever. It's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic the weekend of March 7th. Presented by Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, and Federal Ammunition. For more information, log on to pheasantfest.org.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with autopay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without autopay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Hey, not to be dramatic, but you should smell this. It smells so good.
Whoa, that's quite the reaction to mixing and matching Gain scents. Let's hear another from Ashley, who mixed Gain products and went,
I'm so excited.
Yes, you are. What about you, Isaiah?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Hey, this is Brad Evans from BetMGM Tonight, weekdays 7-11 Eastern. The BetMGM Network is your home for expert sports betting insights, real-time odds, and nonstop action.
And the best time to tune in is right now. The madness of college basketball is heating up, the NBA playoff race is tightening, and MLB opening day is just around the corner.
We've got expert picks, in-depth analysis, and everything you need to stay ahead of the game.
Presented by the sportsbook born in Vegas, BetMGM.
Watch on YouTube, listen on the free Odyssey app. This is a BetMGM network.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as
That's right, Schoolhouse Rock. Talking so much about Bill's legislative action.
I forgot about
reminder.
Gotta eventually just play that, you know?
I forgot about the conjunction junction. What's your function? That's
Conjunction
that was a classic one.
That was great.
Your function? Yeah, oh yeah. Thank you for that, Drew.
That's not our normal bumper music. but I
No,
like it.
definitely not.
Typically
Definitely not
not.
our normal bumper music. Schoolhouse Rock. Before we get to the left tackle situation, and maybe does it change with the Trey Smith extension or a franchise tag, you said there's an update. Your son, for those that have been following, this has been going on for like 2 weeks, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe a month. I don't know. Seems like, so as people who haven't been following, my son is in kindergarten. He is head over heels for this one girl. And he claimed for a while they were boyfriend and girlfriend. He then told us a couple days ago they broke up, to which she made the breaking heart hands at him because, and this is going to be important in the story later, because he chose a different friend to drum first in like a shared thing where like you choose the next person to drum. And he chose a friend, not her. She then called it off. And then he had school yesterday. And we're like, well, like hopefully they just like, you know, he said the good news is they are going to remain friends. That's what he told us a couple days ago. Yesterday, as he's getting off the bus, we receive a call from the school.
Uh-oh.
First. And I'm like, well, what could this be about?
Oh, man.
The call is from Desmond's teacher. Oh, no. Because he had to be told about appropriate kindergarten behavior because the girl in question kissed Desmond on the cheek. And we don't kiss in kindergarten for obvious reasons. And so he had to be told about appropriate school behavior because she gave him a kiss on the cheek. His response to this, by the way, is like, I know I can't do it anymore because he knows now he doesn't want to be in trouble.
Right.
Teacher told me he can't do that kind of thing. He said, but the kiss makes sense because she loves me. So I was like, but you're kind of having it. You're kind of in the middle. And I'll have to say, the interesting twist in all of this is that the reason why the teacher found out is the kid who Desmond chose for the drum snitched.
Oh, what?
Well, we have Snitch Line coming up today, 1 o'clock hour.
The kid he chose for the drum snitched and told the teacher that this girl kissed Desmond on the cheek, ratting out the whole operation.
Wow, so he's learning a lot of, like, in the last 48 hours.
Breakups, he learned about, like, who you can trust in your friend group. It's been a tough learning lesson for Desmond in kindergarten this week. He's really going through some of, like, the life learning lessons that we're all going through. Also, I can't believe he chose you for drum and you do him like that?
Yeah, it's just, these are 6-year-olds, you know?
That's cold, though,
They're
man.
6-year-olds.
That's cold.
Did you give him the, hey, man, it's hard out here in these streets, you know? It's tough out here.
I can't believe, dude, because, you know, now you got to sit your kid down and be like, hey, can't kiss people at school, man.
He's not the one that did it, though.
I know.
Right?
Is that better?
Yes.
If he was the person who got the kiss
I think
on the
it
cheek?
should make you feel a little bit better. That because
if he were the initiator, then I got to figure out like
their
why
parents.
are you
Yeah. Whereas like their parents, you know.
You know, Desmond, as it happened, was smiling ear to ear. Like he was probably blushing and everything.
The first time I meet this kid's parents is going to be so awkward.
Yeah.
I'm going to run into them at some school function and be like, "Oh, you're Sophia's parents," and we all know. Now, look, I'm assuming that like they don't know.
It's still 6-year-olds, so their parents aren't going to. I don't think it'll be that awkward. They're 6-year-olds.
They're kids. They don't know what's going on. They're 6. You're right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Someone said his friend is dead to us on the text line. Ratted him out, man. The kid he chose. The kid he chose for the drums.
For your
was
sake,
his snitch, man.
For your sake, I hope this doesn't. Hopefully, today is a smooth day for everybody involved.
I hope he just has a nice, clean day. It's like, you know, like you got to see your friend. Wasn't that nice? And then we just move on to like regular pastures. This thing has continued now for the better part of 2 weeks. It has not faded as quickly as I'll say. I thought this would fade a lot quicker. This like these two being like they had to move. They moved them tables, man. They couldn't sit at the same table anymore.
That's probably for the best.
They changed their tables, man. He can't even be like yellow table. You know, they're moving kids out of this thing. I don't even know what to do for him anymore. I just hope he has a regular day at school. No drama. No drama with them.
Just, even though they're only in kindergarten, just put on some Schoolhouse Rock and just let them have a normal day. Let them start learning, and just move on. Move on from everything. All right, let's move on ourselves a little bit and talk some Chiefs football again, because Trey Smith expected to have the franchise tag placed on him. And I say expected because technically he hasn't officially had the tag placed on him, but that's just the expectation now with the news in the 1 o'clock hour yesterday. So what does this mean, if anything, for left tackle? Because I took the decision to have $23.7 million on the books now and potentially a 5-year deal worth over $100 million on the books here very soon, that the Chiefs maybe are admitting something to us already about how they feel the rest of the offseason is going to go. And I don't know if fans will love it, but it might just be the reality of what's out there, which is they know Trey Smith is going to give them a certain level of play. They know what level of play at left guard Joe Thuney's giving them, and they know what level of play Creed Humphrey's giving them. And while in the Super Bowl it didn't matter, they know that that's an area they can still have as a strength 99% of the season.
Yeah.
Which is what they did have. And we're going to shore that up and make sure we have that, because you know what? We know that maybe free agency, not great for left tackle options. We don't like any of them. The draft, not a big fan of any of them either. And that this is a problem that perhaps may not be solvable in this one off season. To the point where I'm wondering more and more now, man, if they aren't going to just have DJ Humphries as this team's left tackle in 2025.
I want to disagree just for the sake of conversation, but no, I think they told on themselves a little bit here, which is if we don't bring in Trey Smith, not only do we have a left tackle problem, in which we're either throwing bad money at, right? So we try to solve it, but we're throwing bad money at it because we don't like the available options, and we're signing someone to a long-term deal that shouldn't get a long-term deal at left tackle. Or we're drafting a guy that we don't believe is a long-term answer at left tackle. And by doing this, at least the line's not getting worse. It's exactly the same. Random dude at left tackle, Jawan Taylor at right tackle, and what most people deem to be one of the better interior offensive lines in the league. They're telling on themselves. So I no longer expect the Chiefs to solve left tackle this offseason. We've been begging year after year after year. Now, I will give them at least a little bit of credit. Acceptance there is an okay thing. I think what happens occasionally with the Chiefs, and not all the time, I think a lot of teams do this, I think they're guilty of it. I think Brett Veach, when he makes mistakes, it's when he does think he can be like, you know what, I'll take Kingsley, problem solved. Or I'll take McColl. Like, they'll use a slightly higher pick or they'll trade for Orlando Brown Jr. They'll take these big swings, which are riskier moves, to try to solve these problems because they think they can get the long-term answer.
I would take the exact same Orlando Brown Jr. trade this offseason. Like, if there was that same type of player
for
available.
Only 2 years? Only if you get 2 years?
I would do
for
that.
Sure, 2 years.
Yeah, I would do that again. If you told me that the exact same scenario existed for the same type of player, I would do that. I don't believe that exists, and that's why I think they are going to end up just kind of going with, maybe it's not really an in-house option because he's technically a free agent, but with DJ Humphries when the dust settles, unless they still come up with a surprise multiple pick trade-up kind of thing in the draft. I just think it's becoming more and more evident. I'll be honest, I don't want them to sign Ronnie Stanley. I don't. I know there's some people out there listening that do. Guy finally had a full season. He's 31, 32 years old.
If I'm doing that,
he's going to require a multi-year deal. I'll just roll the dice on 1 year for him. 1 year, what is it going to cost 1 year on DJ Humphries? $10 million?
Yeah, probably.
I just don't have a number. May not even, incentives maybe 10.
Maybe 15 because, the cap.
Yeah, I have no idea. But I just, more and more, I feel like that's, barring a shocking trade-up, as in like half the draft field trade-up, I think it's going to be nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But going into camp when we're in St. Joe here in August, I don't think I should be, nor should you be, surprised if DJ Humphries is maybe the clubhouse leader for that job.
I'll ask one of the other insiders at some point, like Nate Taylor or whatever, and this is really only a question that DJ Humphries can answer. Any part of him that doesn't want to sign here because they never let him be the left tackle? He got to be the left tackle for one game.
He wasn't healthy.
He was healthy towards the end of the season, reportedly, right? Like he could have technically played.
But you know how this
in
goes.
the AFC title game of the Super Bowl, and they didn't let him.
Right. That's
I'm just
fair.
asking.
Yeah, that's fair. But you know how this goes. If you were given an opportunity, then you get hurt, and that's just life, right? Like that's how sports work. You were given a chance, and then you got hurt, and then somebody else steps in. In that case, up until the Super Bowl, Joe Thuney steps in, and Joe Thuney looked really good until he didn't look good. That's what happened. And I go back to the comments. We don't need to play it again. But remember the day that DJ Humphries signed, how happy he was to his kid wanting to play with Mahomes and this whole thing. So, no, I don't
didn't know if that had soured at all.
You're
just
right.
based on the fact that he didn't get to play much.
I don't know 100% either. You're right. He only knows that. I would be surprised if he's now like bitter about the situation.
Versus just like, well, now I'm going to be fully healthy and they're going to let me be the left tackle again. Because I think in order to get DJ Humphries here, you do have to tell him it's your job to lose. If we're bringing in competition for you, it's like in the third round, DJ. So don't really stress about it. You can beat out a third round pick, can't you? I mean, you're DJ Humphries, but like not that we're getting ready to trade up and take one at 17, but we'd also like use a safety net on a 1-year deal, I think if you're taking, and I honestly, like going back to it, I just think they told themselves. I think the Chiefs are telling you that there are no left tackles where they're drafting in the draft worthy of starting day one, and there are no left tackles on the free agency market that they want to give big dollars to. And they'd rather kick this can down the road one more year again, sadly, until they eventually find their long-term answer.
I get it if they look at the draft in particular, free agency also, but the draft in particular, if they're like, we don't think there's someone there that is any better than what we have currently in-house anyway. So why would we reach for somebody at 31 or waste a pick in the second round again for another developmental project when we think maybe next year either the free agent class is better, better draft class, or, hey, DJ Humphries is not a spring chicken, but maybe he plays really good for us. And then all of a sudden we think we got another year or so for him. I think that's where it's trending, but I also in the back of my mind recognize that Brett Veach has surprised a lot of us before with a big splash that nobody saw coming, and maybe that's what they got up their sleeve too. But right now, my mind is kind of thinking, all right, Trey Smith, they're going to shore up what they know they got and hope that the option that is DJ Humphries maybe is financially smart and the level of play for that cost is not much different than what you'd even be overpaying for a Ronnie Stanley type.
I mean, the odds of DJ Humphries hitting next year versus this year are significantly better. For the same reason we liked the move in season, but he was coming off an injury. If he stays healthy, he has played Pro Bowl level left tackle. Like he's not. Now he's older. He's not your long-term plan.
But he's not 35.
But
he's
there's
31.
a reason why he was a 7 or 8 year starter in Arizona. Okay, like he was a full-time left tackle starter for every year except like the first year, I think, in Arizona. His whole thing has been health. And it's like if you just give him a whole offseason, you give him a 1-year deal. Like there's kind of optimism to think that he could probably be a pretty decent left tackle for you. It's about convincing him to stay here versus testing the free agency market.
We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 5 minutes or so, but we were mentioning the draft there a little bit. Adam Schefter was speaking in Indianapolis yesterday, as today's yesterday, things heating up in terms of some of the bigger names that are out there from the combine, although more and more players are just deciding to only do pro day stuff. Like, hey, I'm not going to throw, I'm not going to do this drill. The combine, they should just call it like the NFL convention and let the agents and GMs talk.
Just a chance to meet.
And just let the draft prospects do their pro day thing. That's a whole other topic. But anyway, Adam Schefter was asked about the draft and just how deep is it overall in 2025.
What are they saying about this draft class? What is the conversation about this draft class?
A few things. I think that the strength of this draft, according to the people who have really dug
Insiders,
into it,
yes, all the people you've talked to, yeah.
personnel people, middle rounds, 3, 4, 5. A lot of good depth and talent there. And I think the feeling is that the player you get at number 10 in this draft is similar to the player that you get at 35.
Jeez. Wow.
So there's a group in there where there's not a huge separation.
That was on the Pat McAfee show.
Was he saying that clip just to make Chiefs fans happy? Because if you look at what the Chiefs have in draft capital, they got 2 in the 3rd, 4th. They don't have the 5th because of the trade with DeAndre Hopkins, but like they got picks in that order. And if you traded down from that Tennessee spot, well, then you would have pretty much everything you'd want in that round. 3rd, 4th, 5th, they got 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th. And the ability to trade down in those spots because of how much value they have in the 3rd. Plus, you're telling me there's no difference between drafting at 10 and drafting at 34? Okay, well, I like to hear that. As a team picking at 31, I think you got to like to hear that, and that there's no separation in talent outside of that, especially because 2 of the guys who go in the top 10 are going to be quarterbacks anyway. Those guys those aren't even picks that go off the board against you.
Is that one of those things where you take the best available player, even to a certain degree, where you're not going to take running back, but if there is a player that is available who, I mean, maybe it's a linebacker who slid from maybe the 20s down, and you don't pay Nick Bolton, do you draft him there because he's the best available player that you've talked to on your board, or do you try to actually hit a need given what Schefter just said with the depth on the defensive line.
I'm fine with best player available at 31, if that's what you're asking. Like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Of course, as you highlighted, there's always exceptions. Of course, you're
I'm
not
okay with that with a couple of positions, honestly.
I don't want them to take a tight end. Which I don't think best player.
Right.
Let's put it this way: I don't think
Warren's not there.
I don't think best player available will be tight end or quarterback anyway, or you know what I mean. Like, so
wide receiver, like if Burden's there. Yes.
Well, yeah, even take Burton's name out of it because of the local tie. Like anyone, yeah, if they have somebody on their board that they thought was going at 23 and somehow he's there at 31, if that's the best player available on their board, then I think they would take that player. Yeah.
I'm a mixed bag on best player available because I generally kind of understand the working theory, but I also don't think you can go into a year with these big roster holes. I'm only for best player available when it comes to defensive line, wide receiver, like at this point for the Chiefs, because quarterback would be a normal answer, or corner. If it's not those, I don't care if you're the best player. Like we had you at 21 and you were the linebacker. Pass. Now just have to hope you're available later. And I'm taking the second best player available who plays defensive line or plays corner or plays wide receiver. Best player available on the board only applies to me for 3 positions. Honestly, it doesn't apply to running back, linebacker, safety.
The guys that you think are more replaceable in the second or third round,
They'd have to be so much higher. Yeah. Best player available can't be he's 21 on my board and 22 is available, he's a defensive lineman. Or he's 25 available and he's a defensive lineman. You got to just take defensive line at that. Screw best player available. I don't care if you had like a linebacker at the 21st best player on your board and a defensive lineman at 25 and they're both there at 31. Take the defensive lineman.
But it depends.
Screw linebacker.
It depends. Have they already brought Charles Menahue back? Have they let Nick Bolton walk? Like, you know
There's
what I mean?
There's a lot of unknowns, sure.
Yeah, like if Charles Menahue's back, then I think I'm good with them not doing that. If he's not back and Nick Bolton's already back, well, then, of course, yeah, like there's no reason to take a linebacker. We'll mention Nick Bolton because we'll get to him a little bit later on in the show. Did Trey Smith's franchise tag and maybe future deal? Well, we're going to get to random questions.
Yeah, that's true.
But we can get to Nick Bolton at some point today.
Yeah, it just kind of varies depending on how you look at the draft. But, I mean, Schefter essentially just told you everything you wanted to hear. The depth is in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You've got 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and then you can trade down. I mean, and plus the stuff in the first round, I got to feel pretty good about the Chiefs' chances to get something decent in the draft.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Over in the text line, 913-586-7965. Sorry, we had to move it up again. Snitch line again later in the show.
Yes.
We were going to do Snitch line earlier, obviously, or yesterday, but then the Trey Smith news broke that they were looking to franchise tag him. So second straight day of an early random question of the day. Sorry to throw off everyone's schedule. Please like, subscribe over on YouTube. You can see us on video. The whole deal outside of it. Question I have for you today is related to the weather. It's 70 degrees. We've obviously had some nice weather, but always the question is like, I think I'm convinced everyone has a out of winter habit is like the first thing they do once the weather turns to outside weather. So the question I have for you today is, what is the first thing you put on the books? Is it golf? Is it whatever? The second the weather turns to 70.
So I did it yesterday. So a friend of mine texted me at like 2:30. He's like, "Hey, patio beers." So we went to a bar. Usually I would not be drinking on a Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon.
But it was 70 degrees and you like patio beer.
Was out there for a couple hours. It was gorgeous yesterday. Yeah, had a couple beers.
So that's the
patio.
initial thing for you. Is yours golf, Drew? It might be.
Yeah, I hit balls on the range. The first day on Monday when it was very nice outside.
It's like the first time I do the long walk with the dog again. Not the let you outside. Mm-hmm. It's like it's 70. Let's go for a nice lengthy walk. Yeah. It's that or a bike. I'll get on a bike during that time because I own a bike that I ride around. But I'm not riding around in December. I'm not gearing up for that nonsense. Yeah, I wait till it's nice outside.
Text line someone says naked yoga. They just go all out there.
Oh, wow.
A little naked yoga session.
I hope you got tall fence, man. From the 9-3. Let's see. What else we got here?
Going on a nice
drive with the windows open. Big fan of the windows down, as you know. Yeah. I'm actually kind of embarrassed for some of you. How few of you ride with your windows down?
But you do it all the time, though.
But it's 70?
On Monday, but you'll be on the highway. I can't do that on the highway. Way too loud. It's a mess.
But on a road tonight. Yeah. Like when you get on a non-highway road, windows down?
But like right now, the sunroof of my car is cracked already on the parking lot. Like I had it cracked this morning. This afternoon when I get in the car, I'll open it all the way up. Yeah, the sun beating down on your face or whatever in the car feels good.
From the 816, Nurse Jen says they open the windows, screen doors, then glass of wine. I haven't done a movie out on the screen porch. That's pretty common for me. Once the weather gets up,
better do it tonight because tomorrow's gonna be 40. So
I'm playing poker
45,
tonight. And I'll just say that I like that one in summer better because I don't know. I like it when it's still warm, even when the sun goes down. Tonight, if I try to do a movie on the screen porch, I got to get under several blankets, maybe it chills down a little bit. I need that at nighttime. That one's later in the year.
So they're going to start uncovering their boat, getting it ready, start cleaning that thing up.
Oh, it's like time to scrape it down, clean the surface. Somebody says they go straight to a skate park.
Nice.
There's lots of good choice. I'm convinced everyone's got like the ritual. Like the one thing is on the dock is like, it's going to be 70 today. I'm doing blank. Like everyone just decides like, finally.
How many people do you think took off of work today? Just because they're like, it's Friday. And they're like, you know what? The weather's been crappy.
I got a little extra PTO.
I want to go to the golf course or whatever it may be. I bet you there's somebody out there that's taking a half day at least.
Courses are probably slammed.
Right now, you think? Even
I don't know if they're slammed, but I bet they're way busier than what they typically are on a Friday.
Because again, can't go to tomorrow. People aren't going. It's gonna be a high of 45.
Over on Twitch, someone said they do the spring clean, open up all the windows, start cleaning the house. Golf and tennis, obviously, getting mentions. Someone says time to just rehang up the patio TV. Like, yeah, I took for the dead of winter, I took the patio TV off the deck. So like today, I'll just put it back out there. Tell the kids to go play, whatever, right? You just got to reset it up. Sometimes during the summer, we'll play poker out on the screen board.
Someone says driving Mustang top down, top off.
I don't have the Mustang anymore. Would have been nice to have it 2 more days, I guess.
Top off?
That's not usually my bag. We'll see.
I'm surprised you didn't say go and sweep the decks. Go out and.
I hate yard work. The first nice day, that's not yard work. That's a couple of nice days in for me.
Okay.
I hate yard work. I'm waiting till we get a little bit further into the.
Someone says,
but I don't have a choice.
Someone said last year they turned their son's clubhouse into an outdoor bar. First thing I'm doing is opening up the bar. Come on over, drink on me. So you had an old clubhouse, and you're like, you know what? Kid's gone. Kid's old now. We're turning this thing into a nice outdoor bar.
My brother asked me with my Costco membership to order him an outdoor bar for his house.
Oh,
because it was free shipping if he had the membership. So.
Oh, fair enough.
I guess I'll go to his place this summer too.
Someone's hanging the patio TVs up.
I like that people just have the outdoor. Like some people do what Drew said. They do the outside cleaning. Oh, let's get the fire pit ready to go. Let's get this stuff kind of.
Somebody said they sweep out the garage, as well.
I do open the windows. The second it gets this nice, heat, whatever.
On Monday, I drove with the windows down. All the way home, all the way up 4:30 or all the way up 6:35.
Oh, dude, I drove with the top down the last day I had the Mustang. The other day when it was 65.
Yeah.
Again, I'll do it until I get to the highway. That's when the sunroof will be open, windows will be down. But once I get on the highway, I'm moving. It gets way too loud. Way too loud.
Of course, you saw more people out on the motorcycles as well.
Oh, that's healthy.
I just music cranked up even higher on those. Is that what you do too, Drew? Crank the music up on the highway. Yeah.
Well, in a way, you have to have it louder because of the the wind and stuff.
Do you think we're going to be screwed on that anyway? You and I all three of us, we wear headphones for 20 hours a week. Now, look, it's not blasting. It's not like I'm blaring, death metal or something. But
it's loud enough that it's probably.
I wonder, are we gonna not be able to hear when we're 70?
Yes. Think about how quickly your phone tells you, "Hey, man, you're listening to this at too high of." Does your phone tell you that?
My Apple Watch will tell me if I'm in an environment that's too loud.
No, so if I have on headphones, and I'm cleaning around the house or I'm doing outside.
Oh, but see, I don't wear headphones. We've talked about this. When I'm at home, it's just me. I don't need headphones. I'll just have the music playing.
If I'm mowing the grass, I wear headphones. Or if I'm cleaning sometimes and the kids are watching stuff or making noise, I'll put on headphones. And my phone, it seems like after maybe a half an hour, it's like, hey, you can't keep listening to stuff this loud this long. It'll be bad.
Really?
Mine immediately warned me about that. So the fact that I'm doing this 20 hours a week, probably.
I don't have it loud though. I have to. We joke with Cody all the time. I do have to sometimes ride the volume a little bit. Sometimes I feel like Cody's going to cause me to lose my hearing earlier. Just Cody specifically. Yeah.
That's probably fair.
Yeah, but no, man. A lot of people saying they're going to enjoy today. Honestly, it's awesome weather in Kansas City. We had a ton to get to throughout the show. We have Matt Verderame's going to join us in the noon hour today. He's going to check in from Indy. He's been out there getting the latest scoop on what some agents are saying about free agency. We'll, of course, talk Trey Smith with him. Josh Vernier is going to join us at 12:45. And then, Fan Club Friday. Benny Heiss, we'll talk all sorts of things with him. I'm sure he can relate to the kid stuff with you a little bit more, too. You have to bring the Desmond scenario by him a little bit.
See what he would do,
But up next, now that we know Travis Kelce, even on the New Heights promotional social channels, have basically confirmed he's coming back, what do we expect that to look like? And we'll talk some Royals baseball, specifically that outfield situation, next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Well, those record low temperatures from a week ago, I think, are finally in the rearview mirror. Things are going to be a little bit nicer this week. And if you were driving last week, maybe driving a vehicle from Max Motors, and you had those heated front seats, the heated steering wheel, oh man, life must have been a lot easier, not to mention four-wheel drive. And at Max Motors, they have everything you need to make sure the next time you encounter a storm like that, you don't have to deal with the inconvenience on the road or even just right there sitting in the vehicle. I'm talking about that new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee, by the way, that's up to $15,000 off MSRP, stock number S250069. That vehicle has some of those features I just mentioned. And at Max Motors, they will be able to take care of you and walk you through the buying process to make sure you find the vehicle you're going to love. You got to finance with the dealer lender. The offer expires 3/3/25, but Max Motors has the best financing options to get you in that vehicle in the Midwest with the max trade-in values. Check out one of their 7 Kansas or Missouri locations. Or, of course, you can go online. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Heartland Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
There are a ton of ways to kick off your day. Gym grind, endless scroll, or snooze button life. But McDonald's has a deal that levels up your morning above the rest. Now at McDonald's, mix and match your choice of a fluffy sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles and sizzly sausage McMuffin with egg for just $5. With a deal this fire, there's no better way to upgrade your mornings than with a delicious breakfast. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey. More like Mirajoyed. That Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at your local retailer.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value. For an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan. And iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Go check out 96.5 The Fan's Instagram page for videos, giveaways, and behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2. Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
11 o'clock hour here on a Friday in KC. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Reminder, we'll head out to Arizona and check in with Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, coming up at 12:45. Hopefully you caught some of his hot stove show last night. Seth Lugo, Carter Jensen. I was in the car. I caught part of the Carter Jensen interview yesterday, just talking about Salvador Perez and what Salvi's meant to kind of his development already, and just kind of soak it in. And acknowledging the work ethic once again of Salvador Perez, and just like, you know, it's hard not to bust your ass when you see Salvador Perez, who already probably is headed to the Hall of Fame, is out here still getting up in the first in the weight room at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. kind of stuff. So good conversation. If you missed it, check it out on the Odyssey app.
I was going to say, it's not usually a problem, but the Royals are too deep at catcher. Like Blake Mitchell's one of their top prospects. Carter Jensen's looked really good in the minors. It's usually a good problem.
Yeah,
catching usually has value.
One of them might end up being part of a necessary package to get him over the hump at some point. Now, unfortunately, what's his name is hurt now with he's going to be out hamate bone injury. Blake Mitchell is.
The hamate bone's always a scary one because it takes a while to get that power back.
Luckily, though, he's so early. Like he wasn't close to coming up. So you've got some time to get that thing taken care of. Obviously. All right, so let's talk about Travis Kelce. Now that we know it's all but 100% confirmed by the team. I mean, it's like 99% now.
Mahomes was tweeting about it. He's obviously
Travis Kelce on the New Heights channel yesterday. They put out a funny social media clip of like, "I'm not effing leaving," right? And they said the next episode, next Wednesday, he'll actually address it. So he's coming back. So what do we expect? Like, all right, he's back. And it sounds like it's going to be the $19 million cap hit, too. So maybe that changes your answer a little bit.
That was the last thing Brad Veach told us, yeah.
This past season, what did he bring to the table? Well, he had 133 targets, 97 catches, 823 yards, and 3 touchdowns, played in 16. He played in every game because they all rested, as we know, in Game 17. The target rate, let's just start there. There is no way. Something, once again, went terribly wrong, in my opinion, meaning Rice.
That's his normal target rate in his career, but we both agree that it would have been more Rice.
Yeah, I mean, the year before he had 121 targets. 133 is nowhere where I want those targets to be next year and where we should expect them. If Rice is only going to miss what we think is the suspension length, and he's healthy, and Worthy's healthy, whether they bring Hollywood Brown back or not, I just don't think the target should be anywhere near 130. Now, can he still have 115 targets? Yeah, absolutely. 110 targets. But I think we'll see a huge dip in targets next year for Travis Kelce.
I'm kind of assuming a lot of the same. When I go through, and if you made me like right now, February 28th, predict the official stat line for Travis Kelce, I think that the 823 yards, that he was a victim of their offensive woes this year, as in nobody threw the ball with less distance in the entire league than the Chiefs. And the addition of Rashee Rice coming back to the offense at some point next year and Xavier Worthy's emergence late in the year, I think Travis Kelce gets 1,000 yards again. And I know that that's bullish, and I know that comes from a background.
Yeah.
I think he's probably around 95 catches and 1,000 yards is my actual expectation. Now, I'll say, even at $19 million, the people who are trying to pretend like Travis Kelce still didn't bring value to your team are stupid, in my opinion. It's more in the national level that I see that. He was still 5th in yards and 3rd in catches And every other statistical measure other than yards per reception that were down for the first time ever, he was still one of the 5 best tight ends in the entire NFL. He obviously brings value to your team. He brings value to your offense, and I think it's kind of delusional to assume otherwise. I think he might be a 1,000-yard guy again, but that's mostly because I think Rashee Rice won't be because he can't. I think Travis Kelce probably will fade down a little bit once I think Rice comes back from suspension. So, no, I don't think they have 3,000-yard guys. I don't think it's Rice gets 1,000, Worthy gets 1,000, Kelce gets 1,000. I think Rice will finish below that because of the suspension. Worthy will finish close to that, and so will Travis Kelce.
So I think he's still going to help his team, no doubt. Anybody acting like he can't help them, that'd be foolish. And he wouldn't come back if he didn't truly think he can help this team. I truly believe that. You're way more optimistic than me on the yardage, though, I'll be honest. Like that seems a little high to me.
What's the number you would go with on the yardage?
Yeah,
I higher
think
than 823?
No, I think it's in that 750 to 850 range.
You think it's continuing to slide?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what you're saying, I get what you're saying. You think the yards per catch are going to go back up, but to get to 1,000 yards, if we just based it off of last year's, he would need 117 catches to get to 1,000 yards at that same average.
But I think he'll be way above that.
But if it gets, even if it gets to 10.5, he needs 95 catches.
I think 95 is the number. That's like his career average.
Right, but yes, but this goes back to the running kind of joke you and I have had with each other for 3 or 4 years, the never aging thing. Saying that like that's what he's done his whole career is still not is ignoring though what is now the reality and why we were even talking about retirement and the fact that he's going to be 36 next year. But saying a 36-year-old is going to have 800 yards is not being a hater, by the way. You've always been way more optimistic, obviously, about Travis Kelce overall from a you're never going to age kind of thing. We've joked about that. I think that is if Worthy is healthy, if Rice only gets the 5-6 game, whatever it is, suspension, this offense, their third option, having 95 catches for 1,000 would be really surprising. Because you would agree he's the third option next year?
Yes, but I also
or no? Okay, you think
second?
I think he's third.
I think he'll be second in targets by the time.
Well, there's our difference right there on the yardage.
And here's the truth: is that part of my defense, I guess, in this is it's not like sometimes when we discuss what people perform in this. Travis Kelce averaged 10.5 yards a year ago. It's not ancient history for me to go back and be like, he could have been 1,000 yards, but he could have been 1,000-yard wide receiver a year ago. And so, in my mind, a calendar year ago, not last season.
It'll be 2 years by the time we get to the end of this next year, though.
But that's, I understand by the time the season starts, it'll be a year and a half or whatever, probably since the end of the technical season.
Yeah.
It's not that far off for me. I can pretty easily, in my opinion, explain away why his yards are down versus just total yards, and that's because the offense operated in a different way. It's I view that differently. Let's say Hollywood Brown. I would never predict Hollywood Brown to be anything more than a 700-yard receiver. Yeah. It's been since 2021 since he was a receiver that had more than that, right? More than 700 yards or whatever in the NFL. We don't know if Hollywood Brown's going to be back, and that would obviously change maybe some of the perspective on Travis Kelce as well. I understand this, there's a lot of mouths to feed situation.
I just think it's an age thing too, man.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's just part of it. Sure.
You're correct that what he's done. There's a reason why he's going to go down as the greatest tight end in NFL history. Of course, the numbers are insane, and I just
don't think I have to go that far back to have a 10.5 yards per catch, 1,000-yard season. That was a year, 2 years ago, season-wise.
We just disagree with hey, all of a sudden how quickly it can happen when there's a huge difference in my opinion of being 33 in the NFL and being 36 in the NFL.
Was he 33 when he had? I mean, how old was he? Was he
33?
34?
His last over 1,000-yard season was 33. That's why I just said 30. The last time he had over 1,000 was 33.
I guess I'm chalking up 984 as he was 34 because he could have had 1,000. But
fine.
That feels like you're nitpicking in the way that I would about Hollywood Brown, and I don't think you loved that.
No, that was when you were nitpicking about Juju Smith-Schuster 2 years ago.
1,000, whatever it was. Yeah. So I think if you want to, it doesn't matter. I get your point.
2 years in the NFL is a long time. It just 2 years age difference when you're in your mid-30s is a big difference in my opinion. So we'll see. I think that there's the target share cannot be anywhere near what it was this year. It just cannot. That means things went wrong again at wide receiver injury wise.
I'm really intrigued to see because wasn't there a report that he's going to be in the text message to McAfee? He basically was like, "I'm going to be in better shape than I've been."
He said he's going to try to be. I mean, there's a limit to that, when you're 36.
Sure. I wonder if
Trust me.
I think there's people who have even said that, not that they've called him fat or anything like that, but he doesn't look like the most in shape individual when you just see him on the football field. Or maybe, if he loses, I don't know what he weighs, but if he loses a little bit of weight or gains it in muscle or whatever, he's a little bit stronger in general.
They list him at 6'5", 250. I have no idea what he actually is.
I wonder if he's going to look faster, where he's older, but or if he looks the same in terms of
I don't
mobility.
think he's ever going to look faster again. I'm kind of written that off.
I just mean than last year. I'm just talking about, because there were moments last year where people are like, man, he doesn't look like he's capable of making the same plays. Of course, we know that he made some really big plays, but
it's more like flashes, and I get that, right?
I wonder if he's going to look more agile.
Let me ask you this. I guess I'm guessing your answer is yes because of where you have him yardage. Well, I don't know how the answer to this question wouldn't be yes if you think he's going to have 1,000. He had 2 100-yard receiving games last year. Do you think he has more than that?
That's a good question. 1,000. You don't have to average 60 yards a game, so you don't have to be 1,000. I'd say more, but not by way more. 2-3.
Okay.
I mean, that's
yeah.
probably
He had one, including the postseason. He had one against Houston, right, when he had the huge game, and then he had one in the regular season, and that was the Tampa overtime game. He needed every bit of overtime. He had 100 yards on the nose.
I guess I'd be curious to know, like, in previous years, kind of where that ended up landing, 100-yard games per season. Because obviously he's had years where he had like 1,400 yards.
Sure.
That's a slightly different scenario. But the year before, when he had 984 yards, he had 3 100-yard games, including the postseason. So not like drastically different. And let's go back to 2022 when he finished the season, the regular season, with 1,000 yards. He had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, he had 1,300 yards that year.
He had
1,300 yards.
I don't think he's getting 1,300 yards, so he can have 200 or 300-yard games, and we'd be fine.
Yeah.
I also think that, and this goes to the same thing. I think he'll once again be the beneficiary, like he should have been this year, of no attention on him. No one's going to pay any attention to him week 1 next year if Rice and Worthy are on the field together. They're going to let Travis Kelce be more free than he's ever been. And, I don't know if that, I think that just leads to more yards per catch, more freelance plays, more things that work in his favor.
The pushback on that would be teams are leaving him more open because they also don't think he's the threat that he once was. And he'll have a chance to prove everybody wrong. And hopefully for his sake, he does in 2025. All right, we'll get to the trash of the day here in about 8 minutes or so, but let's talk about some Royals baseball. We've discussed how they've got different pieces trying to play left field. That's because they're basically acknowledging there's a bit of an issue there in outfield. Not defensively, but in particular, what they're getting offensively out of both right field and Hunter Renfroe, and of course left field with MJ Melendez. Where does this outfield rank in the American League, AL Central, all that? Well, it's the worst outfield in the American League Central, not even close, if you just look at some of the pieces, right? From a total package perspective. And it's the bottom half easily, if not
bottom 10 probably. Baseball.
I was going to say bottom 5, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
10's like a way of not not having to get a long argument about it.
Other than starting pitching regressing and a guy like Cole Reagan's getting hurt or something, outfield is the single biggest area of concern. It's why so many people wanted them. And again, I think the Royals tried on Anthony Santander and others. They wanted them to go out and get another outfield bat, and it didn't happen in the offseason. They are banking on Melendez swing change improving. They're banking on, if that doesn't improve, that Massey and or India are capable of playing left field to keep their stronger bat in the lineup. So they're already telling you how they feel, how they know that is a problem. If this offense is to improve, they have to get more out of specifically left field, but honestly, even right field with Hunter Renfroe.
I got to be honest. The biggest problem they have is there's no, unless you're just hopeless optimist, there's no, we don't even have it could happen this year, though. The normal optimism that comes with a young player. Every single offensive player that will play outfield has played offense for this team for 3 years. Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez, Michael Massey. They've either been big leaguers, Velasquez, I don't care who you bring up. They have all been in the big leagues for Nick Prado multiple times over the course of long stretches of season. So unless they just have a breakout year for borderline no reason, okay? Borderline just no reason, just out of nowhere, they're just a capable, or an above average offensive big leaguer. They would do that. The bigger problem is now they're trying to find offense by sacrificing defense. I know they can have a good defensive outfield right now. They roll MJ Melendez out in left, Kyle Isbell in center, Renfroe in right, mixing and matching that. They'll be a good defensive outfield. I don't worry about that. But they're trying to find ways to get Michael Massey, who's playing left field today in AAA. Maikel Garcia is playing center field today for the Royals.
Now, it's spring training, so I'm trying to wonder if that's actually like a legit consideration. Is that a legit consideration, or hey, it's spring training, why the hell not kind of thing? I don't know.
Get your legs loose. Go get some time out there, Michael. We're going to get you in the lineup.
Well, if you're Michael, though, like, there's a real he could be the guy that's not the odd man out in terms of not being on the opening roster by any means, but in terms of playing time, you want to talk about someone that could see a huge dip in playing time this year.
Michael, he stands to lose the most at the moment, depending on because he's the only guy they're not asking to play left or right field right now. I guess till
Maybe
today,
center. We'll see.
In which they're playing him center. It's the biggest. It's honestly the biggest weak point of their entire team. It applies to both the lineup and the outfield defense right now because if it's the lineup, you're still banking on Massey hitting homers. Massey's never been a huge on base guy. We heard him yesterday say that like maybe some of that like minor league rehab stuff was teaching him the zone a little bit. Mm-hmm. So maybe the ABS system will help him a little bit, but he's never been a huge on base guy. There's limitations to Michael Massey's offensive game. He hits for a lot of power. He can, which is good, especially in a corner outfield position or third base or even second, depending on there. But it's like the outfield is like either you get defense or no offense. And the offensive upside is MJ Melendez just figures it out of nowhere. Kyle Isbell just turns into a completely different player out of nowhere.
All three in the outfield, the player that I know is just not changing offensively, I feel like, is Kyle Isbell.
Yeah.
Like Hunter Renfroe
why
showed
is he
some...
any more or less likely than MJ just because he changed his stance?
It's just because I think
Renfroe's got the best chance, honestly.
Renfroe showed flashes last year. Yeah. I guess the reason why I feel like Isbell because nobody ever thought Isbell was going to be a great offensive player. No disrespect to him. Like MJ Melendez had just always had a higher ceiling. I don't know if he's because he had 40 home runs in the minors at one point. Now we're at a point now where
that's a long. You were talking about a long time ago.
I don't care what
When
happened.
the hell was that? 5 years ago?
At least 4. Yeah, maybe 5.
I mean, you do run into a problem where, and Isbell, he's a defensive player. He's supposed to be. He hits 9th for a reason or 8th for a reason, and that's fine. Everybody's not the Dodgers. They're not going to have just some guy hitting 9th who's a 330 on base guy hitting 9th.
Right.
Royals aren't going to afford that. That's not where he's honestly he's a limited offensive player, but I kind of like what Isbell does. He gets enough doubles and home runs and triples.
The defense is worth it. This is if you were getting the kind of production you feel like you should be getting out of left field and right field, then Kyle Isbell in center field's not a problem at all because the defense you'll take it every single time with what he provides there. You can handle the bat if he's your 9th hitter. The problem is it stands out more when your left fielder's not getting you much offensively, and then right fielder had some spurts last year. That was it. Inconsistency, I guess, is the right way to phrase it.
I think you have to continue if I'm the Royals, I'm already pre-scouting the guys I think I might be available at the deadline in the outfield. I'm already working on my list.
Would you be more willing to? Because MJ obviously, made some spectacular defensive plays last year. He
plays pretty good.
If let's say right field eventually turns into Jack Caglione, are you okay with the defensive output from MJ, Isbell, and then you get the bat with Caglione? Are you okay with that outfield, or you still want the change at left field if MJ can't give you the at-bats that you're wanting?
I think there's a very good chance that the outfield next year looks completely different. Yeah, at least 2 of the spots.
I think it's a pretty good chance it's different left field or different right field.
Because I wonder if you're more willing to live with it, I guess, because MJ gives you that defensive output if you get the bat at right field.
Hunter Renfroe's not a long-term option anyway. This is kind of it this year for him in Kansas City. I think it's pretty clear based on the contract. Text line was alluding to this. How much do we buy into the, Vern mentioned he's lost 20 pounds. Not Vern, Hunter Renfroe. He's lost 20 pounds out there. So maybe that helps him, The injury he had last year was a foot injury. It wasn't a muscle strain type of thing, or you just couldn't stay. Didn't he have a foot injury?
He fell off his foot.
Yeah, he broke a bone.
Well, they thought they broke his toe. Remember, then he didn't break his toe.
That's right.
So he still
Badly
missed time.
bruised
But
or
that was the
something.
case. Look, it just kind of depends, and it's always the same thing. It's okay, where's the next guy? The next guy who could come up in the outfield out of the minor league system, still in Double-A, Gavin Cross, and they haven't progressed him all that fast yet. It's it's just so funny to look at here are their top prospects. If you're just maybe they can find the answer there. Jack Caglione, who we are hoping can make a transition. I'm hoping can make a transition to right field because I want Caglione and Vinny in the lineup together. Could just be Salvi. We can talk about that later next week, maybe. Then their number 2 prospect is a catcher, then Kudrna, then you get to Gavin Cross. And then it takes a little while. All the other guys in their system who you would think outfield, they're lower in the levels. And so they're not quick to solving that problem. I think at some point they're probably going to have to throw cash at one of the outfield positions or hope a guy like Massey or India find a way to transition out there. Right now, Vern is saying Massey looks like the more natural left fielder. out of there, and he's telling us that it keeps him healthier. I think they'll give it a real shot, I'll say, in the regular season. Because the one thing about like Mike Kellen Center today, or Massey and left, is when he came on the show yesterday, he said, I don't know if they're actually going to let me do this.
I don't think they have the full answer yet. That's why they're doing this in spring training. They want to see what options they have. Whatever they do on opening day doesn't mean it's the same thing they're going to be doing on June 1st. It'll be an ongoing discussion, is my guess, throughout much of the season. At least the early, first 2 months, 3 months of the year will be, what are they getting out of MJ first and foremost, offensively? And then that could also dictate. Or, hey, if Jonathan India is just having an unbelievable season at the plate, we got to keep that guy's bat in the order. Then we're going to play him at left field if we also think Massey's bat has to stay in there because he's playing so well. Or, ideally you have a problem where Mikel's hitting and Massey's hitting and India's hitting and, that's a good problem to have.
I don't think that's going to be the problem they run into.
No.
The last team just ran into that.
I wish that was the case. All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
Something that if I would have told you, 6 years ago, you would have said, you're crazy. There's no way this thing is going away. There's no way they're going to shutter their business. You guys see the update? Skype has announced they are shutting down in May. Done forever in May.
Can't believe it took this long.
Dang.
Zoom, of course, just destroyed them during COVID.
They got bought when they were like failing by Microsoft, so they just have Teams.
And you would have thought that Skype could have been. They could have transitioned into what Zoom is. They were first. First doesn't always mean you're the best and you last the longest. And Zoom, of course, has taken over the world when it comes to video conferencing. And yeah, Microsoft has Teams. It's just crazy. Skype. That was I remember in high school, in junior high. That was first starting
10
up. That was
years
big.
ahead of every other essentially video conferencing service, and you're the first one out of the game.
Well, Skype is like Vine. It's like the PSP.
MySpace.
It was before its time. Where then you get to the point where somebody caught on, they made it a little bit better, and Skype just didn't have the resources, or they just
because Skype was a bit. I had
too far along.
This was before FaceTime too, right? Way before FaceTime, like Skype. I had some family members that lived in other parts of the country. That was like that. I would do a video call on Skype. It was like that was a cool thing.
But now it's like, if I need a video someone, I just use it on my phone.
Right.
That's tough living. That's like it's like a little bit like being Blockbuster, though. It's like, how didn't you acquire when you were the big dog on the street? How did you not get in the phone game or get in the? You had the chances. You just decided to be antiquated technology where I had to have
because Vine got taken over by Snapchat and then TikTok and
Vine is gone though.
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
But Vine was
Skype's getting ready to be gone forever.
It was very much like what TikTok is. I mean, that was what Vine was, but obviously TikTok is it's blown up more
PSP
than
is
Vine
such a
was.
good pull because the Nintendo Switch is such a huge console. It's like you had it. You had the handheld console. How'd you blow it?
Yeah.
You just didn't make it good
enough. I never had a PSP. I always thought those were cool, but I never had. You actually had it.
I saved up all my. I did chores and everything. Oh yeah. I do not still have it. No. But I saved up all my money and I got a PSP, and that was the greatest thing because you could. It wasn't only games. You could also buy movies. You could watch a movie on there as well. It was very, very cool.
But that's the other problem with the PSP is I'm never gonna watch a movie on my PSP. I got a phone.
Oh, now certainly
if I'm gonna watch a movie on a small screen, it might as well just be on my iPhone. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
One day I am going to just sell all my old Nintendo stuff. I have so much of it. Regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64. I probably got
some of the games will be worth something.
Some of them are. We looked them up, remember? My Super Nintendo ones, I got some valuable ones in there. I don't know about the regular ones. I haven't looked those up. But one of these days I'm just going to cave. My kid was drawing a regular Mario the other day. I'm like, all right, we'll break out the new one. You want to see what new Mario looks like? Somebody did point out Switch 2's coming out this year. My kid's gonna want that.
What's just better graphics? What's the deal?
It's always better graphics.
It's a better
That's
version.
The starter.
Oh, all right.
I thought they've already had different versions of the Switch, or has it always just been one?
No, they've only had the one.
Just the same.
It's been rumored forever that a Switch 2 is coming.
Maybe just different colors then, or something. Because I thought they'd have new,
bigger screen, controllers, better kickstand, different ports.
Oh boy, Nintendo needed some more money.
Better graphics.
Are they going to USB-C now? Is that what the? Or are they already there?
Switch 2 has a headphone jack.
Wouldn't. This is. I get it. If I was a kid, I would want a Nintendo Switch. I just couldn't imagine now. I barely play my Xbox. You know what I mean? I play my Xbox for college football and occasionally MLB The Show. That's it. I can't imagine. I just would never use the Switch.
My kid uses his Switch a lot. So is he going to ask for the 2? Do I need to just start saving up now? Just start thinking his August birthday, Switch 2?
Maybe.
I think they've got something like PlayStation has something called the Backbone where you use your phone and you pop
Your phone in
like
there.
controller things on the side, and you can play the PlayStation on your phone. Essentially,
you can't do that on the Switch yet, but you can play it on my kid plays it on the TV and stuff.
Well, the screen's big enough now, probably where it doesn't matter.
He plays it on the TV probably more than he plays it in his hand at this point.
Oh, nice.
Like we've got the basement TV. We just took it up there.
See, that's where I'm like, I get then why not just play? Well, I guess that's Nintendo's. The answer is Nintendo, because otherwise I'm like, well, I just play a normal console at that
But
point.
he does take it. But he takes it with him. You know,
in the
like
car,
let's say we're gonna go to a dance contest this weekend, right? Or this summer, right? We let him bring it there or whatever.
The concept of that has always been cool. Of I'm going to play a game at home and then I can take it with me on the road and I can pull up the same exact game that I was playing before. I just paused it and I can go back in.
He also gets car sick if he looks at stuff in the car. So this poor kid's screwed in long road trips. I don't know how to help him. I tried to give him some Dramamine last time. Didn't exactly do the trick. I'm going to maybe get him some of those weird car sickness glasses and see if those help. Have you seen those?
I haven't.
They're like 4 circles. Like on the side and on the front, they got like liquid in them. I don't know how they're supposed to work.
It's like,
if those work for anyone, let me know.
trick your brain or balance things out or something like.
It's like changing where you're. I don't know. But I got to try something for the kid. My daughter will look at an iPad in a long car. We don't let him have them unless it's a long car ride. But
That is the trash of the day. Up next, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. One report from our own Bob Fesco about who the Chiefs may not be looking at bringing back at a certain position. And we'll also talk a little bit more about how the Chiefs are approaching building the 2025 team and how different it is from everybody else in the league.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
What's up, guys? Let's talk about sex. Could you benefit a little bit extra from the bedroom? I think we all could. Blue Chew can help. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better, and Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. We know working out is important. It's shown to improve cardio, reduce stress, and improve mood. But there's something else that does all of those things too. Sex. You probably take a pre-workout or have a coffee before training, so why should sex be any different? That's why more guys are turning to Blue Chew. Turn oh no into oh yes. Blue Chew is an online prescription service. Nobody visits the doctor, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. If you don't swallow pills, there's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. Ready for a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
At the Home Depot, it's our business to support yours. Partner with your go-to source for building your business. We can help you streamline your operations by supplying the whole job from start to finish. Any questions? Our Pro Desk is ready to answer the call with supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. Elevate your efficiency and take on more projects with the partner you can trust. The Home Depot, how pros get more done.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ooh, got a dash light on? The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can read your check engine, ABS, and other warning lights to help you find the fix. You'll get an easy-to-read report with clear next steps. And we can recommend a trusted local shop if you need one. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service with shop referral. Only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Some people people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like you know to check you have gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Weather brought to you by National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic at the KC Convention Center, March 7th through the 9th.
Pheasants Forever's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is coming to the Kansas City Convention Center this March 7th through the 9th. Join us for puppy and dog training seminars, a youth village for kids, and more than 400 unique exhibitors. More information at pheasantfest.org.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Coming up at 12:10, Matt Verderame, national NFL reporter for Sports Illustrated. He's in Indianapolis for the Combine. We'll check in with him. We'll discuss Trey Smith with him. We'll also probably ask him about something we're about to discuss, and also just some of the national stories out there, including Matthew Stafford. Perhaps a resolution on his future coming very, very soon. Is he going to stay in L.A.? Is he going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders?
Or the New York Giants?
Will he run into another former quarterback at a ski resort this weekend? We do not know, but Matt Verderame might. He's going to join us at 12:10 to let him know. So Bob Fesco, of course, from Fesco and Dusty, reported earlier in the week that the Chiefs are not expected to have much movement in the wide receiver market during free agency other than their attempt to re-sign Hollywood Brown. And when Brett Veach joined us on the show earlier in the week, he acknowledged that Hollywood Brown is someone they're very interested in bringing back. But the fact that in that report from Fesco, they are not expect that much movement in the wide receiver market. If they're going to draft one, then that makes sense to me, right? Like if they're saying we're going to spend one of the top 100 picks on another wide receiver.
If we don't get Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they're going to draft a wide receiver with one of their right now 6 picks. Maybe they end up with more to begin with. But that makes sense to me. Like I don't think they're going to be ultra aggressive free agency wise outside of Hollywood Brown in the wide receiver market, given right now what they're also spending on Trey Smith for that dollar amount now that we know. Like I don't think that other than T. Higgins, if he ever became available, I don't think there's another receiver honestly, that I'm all that interested in going and spending $30 million a year on. Like, I don't even want them to go trade for Deebo Samuel, Cody. So, like, I'm fine. I would bring back Hollywood Brown. I draft a receiver in the 4th or 5th round, and now that Kelsey's back, I'm good for 2025.
I think the only way it makes sense is that if your backup plan is drafting one high, because otherwise I'm like, okay, so you're willing to sign a wide receiver, but you're unwilling to do it unless it's only Hollywood Brown and no one else. Like, so you're obviously acknowledging what we all know. You think you need to be better at wide receiver, but you're telling me that can only be Hollywood Brown? I mean, there are a lot of other wide receivers available, and this is not meant to bag on him. What has he accomplished in the last, 3 years in the league, you know? Like, you're gung-ho on a guy.
Well, they loved him a year ago. That's why.
I know, but
we saw why they liked him.
You got another years of evidence that he did not produce, so it's not like, and I understand that part of that is for an injury reason, but that's part of the reason he didn't produce before.
I don't want 31-year-old Stephon Diggs, at $18 million a year.
I guess if it's the same price point, and I guess that would be the question I would have for you. If it's the same price point, I don't know why I'm not getting that out of that. The last 2 years for Hollywood Brown
will be more expensive
since 2022, so 3 years. I mean, not four full years. 709, 574, 91 yards. Yes, he was hurt for part of those, so he would have performed it. And look, I would guess, like you, that Diggs is probably worth more money on the free agency market.
I guess that my response back to you would be,
a 500-yard wide receiver. Why not just go out and get a different 500-yard receiver if Hollywood Brown's not available?
And I know you're going to say, well, there's a bunch of 500-yard receivers, Gold, but out of the free agent ones, tell me who you want them to go sign then.
Just some aging guy, Keenan Allen. No difference to me than Hollywood Brown.
He's 33 years old, dude. I'm out.
It's 1 year. I'm not trying to get locked up to him for the rest of life.
He's 33. I'm good.
He's more productive at 33 than Hollywood Brown is at 28.
I understand. I don't want Keenan Allen at 33 years old, who was making $20 million a year last year. I'm good.
But again, I'm saying they're both 1 for 10 in this scenario.
Well, I don't know if that's
Keenan
realistic.
Allen's getting 20.
Well, I don't think he's getting 20.
I think he's getting 10.
I think because why? He's 33. I don't want to. We just acknowledged. I thought we were on the same page 2 weeks ago. They need to get younger and more explosive. 33-year-old wide receiver is not.
I'm still planning on getting younger and more explosive through the draft at wide receiver.
Okay,
maybe not in the top 100 picks like I have there, but my plan would still include going the draft. I'm just going to look Keenan Allen, who is an aging wide receiver of almost no consequence. His year last year is better than any of the last 3 years from Hollywood Brown. So, even at his age, there's at least some
nobody's saying that. Nobody's
he had
saying
1,200 yards 2 years ago.
Nobody's saying Keenan Allen didn't have a better career than Hollywood Brown. I'm not debating
I'm
that
saying
with
he's better
you.
now.
What's
the argument that Hollywood Brown is better? Just out of curiosity. No,
33-year-old wide receiver is the
age.
argument. Well, that's a huge part of the equation, though, man.
But there's no statistical evidence other than age to support that Keenan Allen's not better today than Hollywood Brown.
We're just not going to agree on the age stuff today because that goes back to the Travis Kelce conversation we had earlier in the hour. I think it's a huge deal whether we're talking about 36-year-old Kelce, in this case 33-year-old Allen. You're acting like because they did something 3 years ago at 30 that I shouldn't be worried what they are at 33 or 36.
No, but I'm saying last year Keenan Allen's year is productive than any year Hollywood Brown has put on tape since 2021.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, 121 targets, had 744 yards. I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't need a 33-year-old wide receiver being brought in free agency.
What if it's? It doesn't matter. Let's find a slightly young. Godwin's too much. I need a younger wide receiver. It's never going to be Deontay Johnson. I'm never going to suggest him because that's also crazy. I understand your issue with the age, and I'm not trying to get an older wide receiver to go with it. But what I'm telling you is they're saying Hollywood Brown. Well, he's 27. I don't like when age as youth is the only thing that excuses away performance. Hollywood Brown has not had a good career. He's never been a consistent performer at any level, at any age. It didn't matter when he was 24 or 28. So, I'm not gung-ho, well, it's Hollywood Brown or no one in the free agency market. If the idea is
nobody else is interesting
better,
to me. I think Hollywood Brown fits in this offense very well. I do believe that they thought that a year ago. I don't know why that changes.
Fit okay.
Rashee Rice is their best all-around wide receiver that they have in the building. Xavier Worthy obviously is getting better and better as a route runner. I think we've seen what he can do. He's not just a gadgety guy. Very clearly, he's not just that. Hollywood Brown, they thought there was going to be some opportunities in this offense. He got hurt. The 3 weeks that he actually really played in the regular season, I think you saw wow, this is what it could have been like. You even said that very phrase, I believe, after the first game, wow, so this is what they saw in Brown. I think they're very, that's my reasoning for you. You're right. I'm not trying to tell you he's got a better, there's a bunch of guys that have had way better careers that are free agents than Hollywood Brown. I'm not trying to say that. I just think if you look the available names on free agency, a combination of age, price, anybody else that's around the same age as him, even if you're Darius Slayton, 28 years old, I bet he's had better numbers recently than Hollywood Brown. I would just rather stick with Hollywood Brown in that same scenario. You know what I mean? DeAndre Hopkins is another free agent. I don't want 33-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. I don't want 32-year-old Brandon Cooks. 28-year-old Deontay Johnson. No. I don't want him. So this is not just an age thing. I would if you. I don't know anybody that would choose 28-year-old Deontay Johnson over 27-year-old Hollywood Brown.
Deontay's tough. He's a terrible example because obviously he's been running himself out of town.
I'm just naming literally the available names. I don't think it's a great free agency class.
It's not. There's truth to that, and I'm not here to argue the fact that there's not a good free agency class. I'm just maybe some of this is just there's no evidence to support that Hollywood Brown's going to be any good in this offense other than one good game, the first game he came to Kansas City. There's no, it could work, and they did like him, but
And the evidence on Keenan Allen is referencing, when he was not 33 years old.
He had 1,200 yards last year when he was 32.
And he had some of the most targets, if not the most targets in that offense.
But here's the truth. I'm not asking to ever be that. This is, I think, the argument, where we're split a little bit. In Kansas City, Hollywood Brown or Keenan Allen or Darius Slayton, who's had a better career than...
Yeah, that was the guy I just gave.
Yeah, he's probably had, maybe not a better, he's had a similar career to Hollywood Brown. I don't know if it's better. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it's probably similar. Darius Slayton, right? If he's available at the same price point, I'm just saying it can't be Hollywood Brown or bust. I'm not saying don't bring Hollywood Brown in under any circumstance. A 1-year deal, I've told you, for the most part, 1 year, Hollywood Brown, fine. I'm just saying if that deal falls through, I don't see a massive difference between a 1-year deal for Hollywood Brown and a 1-year deal for Darius Slayton. They're not fundamentally all that different on paper. And we're talking about a fourth wide receiver, a fourth target option in the offense. Behind Rashee Rice, behind Xavier Worthy, behind Travis Kelce. So, I don't think you have to be it's Hollywood Brown or nobody. I would be open to other veteran wide receivers just to make sure there's some depth there.
Just like yesterday or 2 days ago, you said I was taking things too literal. I think you're taking Fesco's report too literal. It says aren't expected to have much movement. It's not saying that, like literally they will have to fill out the wide receiver room. So if Hollywood Brown is not back, just in terms of guys that are signed right now, it's what? Sky Moore, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. That's only three guys. So between the draft and free agency, they have to have, unless you think they're elevating Nico Remigio and he's just going to be part of the. But like
you know me, I'm not a guy who's on the practice squad for 3 years.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, of course, like there will be some other veteran that they bring in. I don't know. I think the report, how I read it, is any of what you view as the top 5 or 10 free agents, if it's not, and Hollywood Brown is one of those at the wide receiver position this offseason.
Yeah, probably 5 or 6.
I don't think they would bring in another quote unquote top 10, top 5 wide receiver that's a free agent if it's not Brown. I think it'll be someone that, like, honestly, if you just go on a spell track, you're looking at the same list I am. I mean, we could go much further down the list or whatever on available free agent wide
I'm just
receivers.
saying it could be someone comparable like Slayton. Yeah, Diggs and Higgins and some of the guys are going to make more money. They're not comparable to me. Some of the other guys are going to get 1 for 8 or whatever else Hollywood Brown's going to get. And yeah, I do want them to get younger at wide receiver. I already think they've started to accomplish that, and I think that some of that comes at running back, not wide receiver, where they need to get younger
I hope
and
they
faster.
draft. I want them to draft a running back. I'm with you, man.
It's
I would
incredibly
love
deep
that.
at running back. There's no reason not to take one this year.
Yeah, Brett Veach told us earlier in the week that that's a really deep position.
They said that when they took Pacheco. They said they were going to find a starting running back in the 7th round that year, remember?
I don't want them to wait till the 7th round this year. I'd like a 4th or 5th round pick at the latest for a running back.
You're interested in 3rd, huh? 2/3?
You could talk
not that first third. I'm not interested in that first.
No,
third.
but a late 3rd round pick / 4th round. I think that's fine. Of course, right, who's available? Don't reach, but yeah, if you told me they spent a 3rd or 4th round pick on a running back, I would not be like, how dare they? I think that's an area that they can get explosive cheap. And they need more explosiveness there. That also solves this entire wide receiver conversation a little bit too, and how trying to piece together this offense and where things are at.
We can talk about Brett Veach's plan because that's part of what had happened. Like the 417 is like Cody's thinking short term, Gold long term. No, we're both thinking short term.
Yeah.
We're
None
both
of us are
talking about
thinking they're
a
getting a
1 year
long-term
wide receiver.
Yeah,
We're objectively both talking short term. Because if I was talking long term, I would never even bring up a wide receiver who's aged 32. Like, and I get it. Like, there's some like. Here's the thing with Hollywood Brown that I guess from the short-term perspective, if he had 1,100 yards, I don't think he'd be back with Kansas City the following year. I don't think there's any scenario in which Hollywood Brown is here past 1 year more, right? Do you? If he gets the yardage, they're just going to go with Worthy and Rashee Rice, and they're going to let Hollywood Brown hit the free agency market, which is okay. You should do that in certain circumstances. This all goes back to like a little bit of the team building stuff. Wide receiver is fascinating because in the entire time Brett Veach has been the general manager, he has spent on wide receiver exactly once. Tyreek Hill, 3-year extension worth $54 million, is the only time he's given big money to a wide receiver. He only recently started using valuable draft picks to take a wide receiver, as in like a first-round pick. He's used a couple of seconds. Sky Moore, McCole Hardman, and Rashee Rice. 3, actually, to be specific. But it seems like there are questions I think you can ask about, like, is this the easiest way to go about it? Would you win just as much if you did it the more traditional way, as in you went after tackles for high-price contracts or defensive linemen for high-price or corners for high-price contracts? Because to this point, the people they are paying are guards, center, safeties. Like, it's the grunt work. It's the grunt work dudes. He's out here paying all the grunt work guys.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's if you were to go and survey roster building across other 31 other GMs. They're doing it differently, and yeah, the success has been there. So it's hard to just be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not here to just be like,
I think
fire him.
What's
crazy
evident versus some other teams, the Chiefs have a general manager that's had a lot of success. Obviously, they have a head coach that's going to be a Hall of Famer that might end up as the greatest coach of all time. I know after this past Super Bowl, people want to suddenly act like that's not possible, but I'm not convinced it's still not in the cards for him. And so you have a head coach that has, even though publicly he'll say, oh, Brett handles that. Andy Reid is heavily involved in player personnel decisions. That's still the reality in my mind. And so when I see that they keep Trey Smith on a tag or a long-term deal, and I think this is a GM making sure he appeases the guy that ultimately is still above him, even though he's the head coach, right? Like Andy Reid picked Brett Veach.
Yeah.
Brett Veach didn't pick Andy Reid. And Andy Reid answers to Clark Hunt, and that's it. And so I think when we think about why is their roster building look different? Because in their case, the head coach is way more involved. And it's worked. Again, it's worked. But
yeah, they went
why
to 3 straight Super Bowls. I'm not here to tell you Brett Veach's system is terrible.
Yeah.
Just, I know that there's like this mix of like this with like corporate culture, this idea of like outside the box thinking. It can be good. But there's also like reasons why people invest what they invest. In baseball, we talk more about like hidden value, like the way the Royals found relievers before relievers cost
market
a lot
inefficiency
of money.
stuff.
So like to Brett Veach's defense, you can sign 2 cards for the price of 1 wide receiver. You can sign a guard and a center for the price of 1 wide receiver. I also told you why I would be interested in constantly looking at tight ends in the draft because the value per is so much better. Like for instance, a wide receiver 2 cost you $25 million a year now. What? No, I'll spend that money somewhere else. Wide receiver 2? I'm going to the draft for that. We're turn and burn on the cheap end on that maybe. And I think Brett Veach has adopted that. It just feels like it's a little too high. The fact that here are your high-priced players right now. Right tackle, left guard, right guard, center, 36-year-old tight end, kicker. Like these are all players who are in the top 10 highest paid on your team next year. That's crazy. That's a weird way to go about it. And
different.
It's worked.
It has.
So I can't just knock the whole system down. But it always goes back to like you and I talked about like the hindsight thing. Let's just say 3 years ago, instead of building it this way, the people you paid were free agent defensive ends and wide receivers. You'd paid Tyreek Hill instead. Would you have had less success? I mean, maybe you went to 3 straight Super Bowls, maybe. But maybe it would also just like work like it works for a lot of other teams to roster build that way. I'm fascinated by the way they do it. I wonder if some of it's just quarterbacks cost so much money that you build at the cheaper positions for more expensive positions and you just keep drafting. But to our point, those expensive positions, defensive end, wide receiver, those are really hard to find at pick 31. So wouldn't it be better to pay them? You can find guards at 31 all day. Like there's just some reverse engineering that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, this is why. And someone on the text line asked us, like, what's the problem with the Chiefs cutting bait with Joe Thuney after this year? That would go along with your age theory. Well, that's what I think they should do. Yeah, I don't believe they should give an extension to Joe Thuney now. Now that they're likely going to give one to Trey Smith, he's going to have the tag. But we both think they're eventually going to get a deal done with Trey Smith. So yeah, I would take the massive cap hit this year for Joe Thuney. Just go ahead and eat that. Still get another really strong year out of Joe Thuney. And then after this season, then you make the tough decision and you let him walk. That time the Trey Smith number is bloated. And Juwan Taylor's number will be off the books after this year. And then you will
have to solve
ideally, Kingsley maybe is your left guard in 2026. We'll see what happens at left tackle this year, and then you'll still have to go find right tackle. Maybe that's Wanye. I don't know.
The only bad part of this plan is you might have to solve right and left tackle in the same year again, which is what you had to do after the Super Bowl, and that sucks.
Well,
that's a tough way to go about business.
Best case scenario is that if you believe that free agency is not an option really for left tackle, and if they are not trading up in the draft to get a left tackle,
I don't.
Your hope is that DJ Humphries actually, as much as fans may not like it, DJ Humphries is your left tackle this year. He's 31. He's healthy. He looks average to slightly above average. Because, again, you don't need Hall of Fame level play at left tackle. It just needs to be average. That's all we're talking about. If he's 31, that means I think he's got 2 or 3 more years left. If he's healthy.
Probably, but not for you. Maybe for you, I guess.
2 years. That buys me 2 years while I go and solve right tackle for the next offseason. And then if it's a deep if it's a deep tackle draft, then I have my left tackle and we're good. Like this
a way
like
in
the
which
Chiefs,
it works out that way, but we'll see.
I don't like it's tough and it takes some stuff going your way. I don't agree with the notion like the Chiefs are just screwed at left tackle for the next 5 years. And I don't that's not the case. I think this offseason, though, they're not going to be able to have the definitive long-term answers.
No, it doesn't appear that way, even though you and I have been asking for that for years. I know that neither of us really particularly watched these, but I was kind of curious. A headline came out.
Okay.
So, as you know, last year, NFL Films did an off-season Hard Knocks. It was for the Giants. And we all thought that like NFL teams would probably just stop agreeing to do it because it made the Giants look real dumb. Like it made their GM look stupid. Their kid looked like a better GM than them. He's like, draft Jaden Daniels and keep Saquon Barkley. And I felt like if you did both of those things, you'd have been a much better football team than before. No NFL team agreed to do it this offseason. Do you know they're going to follow around instead? Who they convinced to do an offseason Hard Knocks? Bill Belichick and the North Carolina
I like
Tar
this.
Heels.
I like this.
Drew, you're interested?
I'm very interested. I think having a college football version of this would be interesting to follow. I think it'll be something that'll
transition to college is interesting. At least
it'll pull people in it'll pull general NFL fans, I think, into the North Carolina program in particular and Bill Belichick because they want to see how he transitions in. I think it puts some more eyes on college football, so I like it.
Is it? And it's just on the off season.
This is the off-season.
Because I would be more interested in watching North Carolina behind the scenes in season if things go disastrous,
Yeah,
and I want to watch the train wreck if that's how it ends up going. The off season, everything's going to seem great. You know, Bill has no pressure yet. He hasn't had to coach a game. Nobody knows if he's going to fail or not.
Well, and obviously you have like the training camp. Like what is it? Because fall camp in football is sometimes a really big deal because you might have a quarterback competition. Other times,
it's a big deal this year for them.
Other times it's like we have our roster set. You know, like Missouri has a really big fall camp. Kansas, they got Jalen Daniels. Like their spring and fall is just getting ready to hopefully start the season on a better note.
I mean, that's you couldn't even convince one other NFL team to do it.
Aren't they required to force teams to do? Aren't they
not
required
for the off-season one?
Not for the off-season one. It's a voluntary, and it made. I'm not kidding. The reason why no one agreed, it made the Giants look so stupid. It made them look so dumb, just like idiots running. You're like, you run a football team? Are you crazy? How does this person even get hired? And so any other GM who's like on a sketchy team, and they're like,
so have they been filming Bill Belichick going to recruiting visits or
Probably,
talking about the portal? If this is an actual off-season series, then I would assume.
Be honest,
signing day.
Maybe I'm on the show already. Like for this topic, I don't have much interest in this.
Doesn't move the needle for you
to watch Belichick off-season at North Carolina. In season, you maybe would have me. Off-season, behind the scenes. Not really, because I also think while the film breakdown stuff he's been good at, he's not going to be breaking down film in the offseason. I think it's going to be boring. I think it's going to be really boring.
I think it's another if you're again, it's different because Gold, you're obviously more of an NFL guy than a college guy. Bink would love this. I really like this.
But he would love a behind the scenes CFL thing too.
Sure,
but God love him, but
they broke down Parkville South
that was a bad example.
He would watch.
That might have been a bad example. But for me, the SEC is doing the thing with Netflix where certain teams have opted out of it. I think Missouri actually is one of them who is not getting filmed, but they're doing the series. It gets you a little bit more of an in with college football, and I think that the college football fan can appreciate it because the NFL has been doing this for how long has Hard Knocks been around for the NFL? 06? 05?
Yeah, Rex Ryan days and Todd Haley way before.
And I think
Herm Edwards, I guess. I mean, actually, with the Chiefs was on Hard Knocks.
It's always tough because coaches would obviously choose, GMs would choose to never do any of this stuff ever, but also the reason why you get to sign a for $100 million deal, or if you're Ben Johnson, the reason why you get to be paid $20 million a year is because of interest in your sport. The NFL does these things because they want interest in their sport. NFL Films is going to shoot a college coach because they couldn't convince an NFL coach to do it. And Andy's never going to volunteer. I'll be very clear about that. And you have to, miss the playoffs to be forced. Miss the playoffs and not have a rookie head coach. Is that what the rules are? To be forced to do it? There's just two rules. If you make the playoffs, they can't force you, and if you have a rookie head coach, they can't force you.
I think that's right.
And so, that limits it to 5, 6, 7,
Someone
8
says
teams.
if they show his girlfriend and how they interact, maybe you'll watch. Maybe.
I'm sure that she's going to come up at some point in the film.
For her? Do you think that he calls her?
Gosh.
I'm just asking if there's a pet name.
No,
because it would make me feel very uncomfortable if.
What do you think? What do you think he
calls?
What do you think he calls her?
If he called her Pookie or something, I just want to die.
Gosh.
I'd wish for
He
death.
doesn't call her Pookie. No.
What do you think he calls her?
He calls her kitten or I don't know, something
Kitten?
along those lines. 100%. 100%. I know it is.
Oh, that would make my skin crawl. I hate that one so much.
I know it is.
Kitten,
I know.
no.
I know it sounds worse, Cody. But that is what Bill Belichick calls his girlfriend.
You think Belichick say, "Come here, kitten"?
Yes.
Oh, I hate it. Anything but that. I'll turn off the TV immediately if I hear that.
No, it makes you cringe. Cody, it makes you cringe just like seeing them together on national television, just together. It makes you cringe a little bit.
Yeah, it already makes me uncomfortable. That relationship already makes me uncomfortable. If he was on camera calling her kitten, that's it.
I don't think the name would matter, Cody. It would make us all cringe. Like, really? I don't know.
Just like a classic one. Like if he said honey, that wouldn't seem like totally out of line, would it?
Oh, okay.
No, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. That's not even.
Yeah.
It's got to be something. I really don't even count that as like a
I mean, it's technically a pet name. It's not quite the...
I guarantee... do you think he more likely calls her honey or darling?
Darling, how old? I mean, he's pretty old.
He's Darling's very 19.
Bill Belichick
just came back from the war.
Years old.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is 70+ years old. I'm telling you, he might call her darling. I don't know.
Darling. Come here, darling.
No, exactly.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we'll see how the show goes. Look, I'm sure the trailer will come out. Maybe they'll get me hooked at that point in time. But off-season Hard Knocks, Bill Belichick, North Carolina, just on the surface doesn't really do it for me. We'll see.
I didn't know Drew said it. Yeah, that one's really bad. That one's maybe the worst one out of any pet name that's available. Like, I don't, like, that one makes me the most uncomfortable. We'll see. I just want to let you know that's
a good recruiting tool for him. That's why it's great for North
Carolina. Smart as a college coach. NFL Film's going to follow you.
Yeah, it's good exposure for we're still deep down. We're talking about North Carolina football. This isn't, Auburn, or this isn't Alabama or Ohio State.
100%.
You need the exposure.
What is their expectation this year? Do we already have win totals out? Too early for college football?
Win totals are out they were out for the Big 12, I think, a couple weeks ago. I'll look during the break.
I was just curious. I didn't know. I didn't know what the large.
Some of them are out, but I don't know exactly. I think it's as the schedules come out, which now the ACC schedule is out. So
their win total at FanDuel over under 7.5.
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's a solid bowl game.
How many wins does North Carolina football get every year?
A really good year, 9 or 10. But they don't eclipse that typically.
What's the standard year? 6 or 7, like bowl eligible, or are they like
bowl
out
eligible,
of the bowl games a lot?
They're very much a poor man's K-State, I think, where typically they're 6 to 8 wins on a regular basis, solid season.
I just looked it up: 6, 8, 9, 6, 8, 7. Then they had a 2 and a 3. Been 8, 11, 6, 7, 8. They're like
they're K-State of the ACC.
913-586-7965.
K-State's not going to like that comment.
Sorry about that, Wildcats.
You can text into Drew. Also, keep texting your Belichick nicknames for his girlfriend, I guess, because some of them we cannot read on air.
No.
Someone says she calls him Life Alert. Oh, boy. Up next, we'll get to what's trending, and then Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated's in Indianapolis. We'll talk to him about Trey Smith and what else is he hearing on the rumor front in the NFL.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Josh Vernier joins the show every day at 12:45, live from spring training, right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5. The Fan.
Well, March is going to be here tomorrow, and college basketball will be reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets and even who's cutting down the nets. And right now at FanDuel, Auburn, the favorite to cut down the nets at plus 340. One of my favorite bets right now to win the national title is Houston, sitting at plus 7.5. I still think there's some value on Houston, who's going to win the Big 12 comfortably, it looks like, this season. And if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Don't miss these upcoming shows. Sebastian Maniscalco, Saturday, February 22nd at T-Mobile Center. Daniel Tosh, Tuesday, June 17th at Kansas City Music Hall. Chicago, June 28th at Starlight. Goo Goo Dolls, Friday, August 22nd at Starlight. And Lincoln Park, Sunday, August 31st at T-Mobile Center.
For tickets and info, hit up livenation.com.
Facing displacement can be an overwhelming and uncertain time, whether it's due to a job transfer, unexpected life changes, or unforeseen circumstances. The Sharp Homes team, they're here to provide stability and support. My friend Dawn Sharp can help you get through the home buying and selling process. That's why if you're looking to buy or sell a home, contact my friend Dawn Sharp, brokered by Epic Realty. They can give you options as well. If you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight straight to sold, you can discuss their instant offer program. Google Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleInKC.com.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you? Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
Put a sheet on it with Bounce. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ooh, got a dash light on? The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can read your check engine, ABS, and other warning lights to help you find the fix. You'll get an easy-to-read report with clear next steps. And we can recommend a trusted local shop if you need one. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service with shop referral. Only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like you know to check you have gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for K-State Athletics. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Number one on What's Trending, a little update on the stadium news. We discussed this earlier in the show. We'll get back to it. It just has to do that there's now a bill introduced in the Missouri legislature that could give some funding mechanisms, really for any city, but we're talking about Kansas City in this circumstance, to help fund professional sports facilities. The bill, sponsored by one of the representatives out of Jackson County, District 9, I believe it is, Barbara Washington, along with others. This still has to get voted on, but it would give them some more mechanisms to try to keep both Chiefs and Royals, and, of course, future teams, as Mayor Quentin Lucas mentioned. So it still doesn't mean anything has changed, but it sounds like this is something that should have been done much earlier, honestly.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them this long, but maybe now, this is desperation can certainly bring you to new places, and they're still looking for ways to get the money, so makes sense, like you said. We'll talk about it more coming up in a minute. Next up on What's Trending local college basketball this weekend, MU versus Vanderbilt tomorrow at 5. Vandy, a fringe team. I think they're currently in the field, according to some of the people projecting it. But this would certainly go a long way in getting them in the field. KU will take on Texas Tech at 1, and K-State will take on Colorado on Sunday at 3. Why? And my Kansas State fans, remember me. Is K-State playing an unusually high number of games on Sunday? I feel like every time we do What's Trending on a Friday, it's like K-State will play at 3 on a Sunday. Why are they playing on Sundays?
I'm sure somebody in Manhattan has an answer for us. My assumption is either A, TV time slot, or for them, they think it's more likely that they can get fans on a Sunday. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, Tang was complaining about the turnout lately, but also they're not winning.
Team's not winning. They've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah. It's like if you lose, it's hard. Colorado's the worst team in the entire Big 12. Yeah. You can't lose this one. You got to keep, otherwise you might just lose every game out.
News out of Tampa. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers announced they are reinstating Super Bowl winning former coach John Gruden into their Ring of Honor. Of course, former Monday Night Football analyst was removed from the Ring of Honor back in 2021. That's when those emails leaked out from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, revealing what they called at the time racist, misogynistic, and anti-gay comments. At the time, the Bucs said his actions went, quote, against our core values as an organization. The team now announced they will be placing his name back on the walls of Raymond James Stadium, but there will not be. They're not going to do a new ceremony. They're just, hey, you're reinstated. you're back on the Ring of Honor.
So they update their code of conduct, right? Racism and sexism allowed inside the Bucs facility moving forward. Problem solved. I just think it's funny. It's like it was against our ethics, but now it's not.
Their reasoning was
time heals all wounds, I guess.
Yeah, they're saying that the path toward reconciliation began last summer when there was a celebration of life for former defensive coordinator Monty Kiffin when Lane Kiffin spoke about his dad's belief in second chances, and then that stuck with the Glazer family, and that's ultimately why they came to this conclusion.
Next up on What's Trending, Cam Ward announces he will not throw at this year's NFL Combine, saying he will instead save it for his pro day. He was asked, hey, why not throw? Because there's a big advantage in this year's draft in particular, not in most years, but in this year's draft in particular in throwing. He said 5 years of tape. I don't need to hurt myself, potentially, like as in my draft stock and doing it. But this is pretty common. We can get back to this and maybe all 32 later, but pretty common, I would say, at least on this end. Cam Ward's not going to throw.
I think the Combine overall, you think it's around 5 or 10 years from now? Like, I think the meetings are beneficial, no doubt.
Yeah, too much
That's
TV.
what they need is like the meetings that the players have with the GMs and everybody, that's beneficial. The same drills they're doing in front of everybody in Indy, they can do on a pro day. And a lot of the players are choosing to do that anyway.
I wonder if if NFL Network will be more, or if somebody will be more likely to air all of the pro day. Like if you took a lot of the pro days, like, because there's guys that might go in the first round. If you're North Dakota State, do they have a pro day that's televised? I wonder if that turns into
I still
how
think
things
we're talking
go.
about such a small fraction of people that are watching that, though. Like, I know
Yeah,
why the
the
scouts need to watch it, but does casual NFL fan want to watch a 40-yard dash?
Only if my team's picking in the top 5.
Oh, look, if the Chiefs were in the top 5, I'd probably would say I think we should be in Indianapolis.
That might be the
but
reason
they're picking
why.
31.
I feel like we're like Chiefs fans aren't paying as much attention, but a lot of other people are suckers just because it's the NFL.
Next up on What's Trending, Major League Baseball reportedly did have early talks with Amazon, NBC Universal, and Netflix after the league broke its deal with ESPN. Remember that news last week that they're ending the deal early. This is from Front Office Sports is now reporting that one of the possible scenarios would be with one of these three companies. Maybe we could see Sunday Night Baseball in the future on a Netflix or on Amazon. That shouldn't surprise anybody. I think we all know how this is all trending with all these sports leagues.
Lastly on What's Trending, don't forget 1 week from today, Alex, Drew, and I are all going to be at Kelly's in Westport at 6:30 p.m. As we've continued to tell you, we were the number 1 rated show for quarter 4, I guess, of last year. As a result of that, they gave us some money. We've chosen to spend that money on you. So we got a $1,000 bar tab at Kelly's next week. We're chipping in $750. Our friends at Sazerac got us for another $250. So you got to buy a mule or a shot of Fireball. We got a G next Friday at Kelly's, 6:30 to share with the listeners. I'm honestly really looking forward to it. We'll see you guys in a week. Let us know if you're going to come. 913-586-7965. I don't need a head count. I'm just curious who's planning on making it. That's all.
Coming up at 12:45, Josh Vernier will join us from Arizona, our Royals insider. We'll talk some spring training baseball. But let's go to Indianapolis with Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated. He's been keeping an eye on the Combine all week long. I don't know if he's made multiple trips to St. Elmo's at this point in time. I hear that's where everything goes down, Matt. How many trips? How many shrimp cocktails?
One trip there, ate at Prime last night, which was a 3-hour extravaganza. And now I'm on my way back, and I think I'm going to be sweating out a million pounds of sodium for the next week and a half.
Yeah, I believe
Sounds like a standard trip. You know?
It sounds like a successful trip to Indy. Let's start with the Chiefs, and then we can talk some broader NFL news maybe that's coming out and things you've heard. Trey Smith gets tagged. We were surprised with that news. I still think they're going to get a long-term deal done. I just don't think a trade is realistic. How did it get to this point? Was it simply more cap space? So they said, we can handle this for a couple more weeks.
I think it's a few things. Yes, the cap spiking the way it did, I think, was a surprise to a lot of people. Makes it a little more palatable. I also think, as Brett Veach said on Tuesday when we were all there at the podium, that he felt good about conversations they had that Smith is their top priority. I think those things are accurate. I don't think that was just blowing smoke. But look, talking to people around the league at the Combine, there was the thought that Smith might command up to $25 million a year. And I wonder if some of this for the Chiefs was, hey, look, I know it's tampering technically, but if somebody gets hold of Trey Smith and his agent Torrey Dandy and says, "Hey Torrey, listen, man, how's 5, 125 and 85 guaranteed sound?" Like, I don't know that the Chiefs were willing or wanting to go to that spot. If you tag him, yes, technically a team could offer sheet him, but nobody's doing that because no one's giving up 2 first-round picks. So now you have exclusivity in negotiations. Look, I think if you're the Chiefs, you want to get this long-term deal done before March 12th, which is the start of the league year, when you've got to be cap compliant. Because right now he's on a $23.4 million hit. If you sign him for 5 and let's call it 112, that cap hit's probably $7.5 million. It's a big difference.
When you look at what they were able to do, we all assume here that this means really 2 things, and I guess I'm curious to see if you think the same way. We think, 1, it means this is the end of Joe Thuney. He's either traded this year, which I think is way less likely, or he just plays out the final year of his deal, and this is his last year in Kansas City. But we also worry that it means the Chiefs are signaling that they know there's no options at left tackle, both in the draft and the free agency market based on the price point they want to be at. They don't like the choices. And so they're thinking, well, we got to keep the rest of the offensive line together if we know we're not solving that problem permanently.
I think those are reasonable conclusions. I would say this, though. Look, if you go back and you remember what Brett Veach tried to do after they lost to Tampa, they went out and gave a record-setting, market-setting deal to Joe Thuney. And in the same night, they tried to sign Trent Williams to over $100 million. Okay? Now, they got outbid by the Niners, who ended up going to the absolute mat for him. But they almost signed him. I still remember reporting on that till 3:30 in the morning. Okay? Like, there's no Trent Williams in this class. The best guys are Cam Robinson, Ronnie Stanley, and Alaric Jackson. I think Stanley's going back to Baltimore. The other 2 guys, Jackson's making 50-50 with the Rams. Cam Robinson's going to get out of Minnesota because they have Darashaw. The question is, are the Chiefs willing to give Jackson or Robinson $20 million a year? I don't know that you want to do that for a guy who you'd probably say is a slightly above average left tackle. Like, would you rather just give DJ Humphries a 1-year deal with incentives,
right,
and then go draft Connerly Jr. out of Oregon or Simmons out of Ohio State? I mean, I think that might be the route you take rather than pay these other guys a fortune. But it does leave the question open. Thuney, I think, still could be extended if they want to. It would lower his hit, but then obviously you're paying big numbers in future years, and that's harder with Trey Smith on the books.
Is it worth drafting a guy, though, at like 31 at left tackle? I mean, I can go through the numbers, and so can you. People do not find starting left tackles at 31. They find him at 15 and up, or they find him in the 3rd round and they sit him for a year or 2 while they develop.
I mean, I hear you. Because statistically, you're right. I don't know if they have a choice. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I will say this. You cannot go into training camp with the idea that it's DJ Humphries and the backup option is Kingsley Suamataia and Wanya Morris. Cannot do it. It's the same thing you just did. You can't go into this deal with that mentality. And look, let's remember, Wanya Morris at the end of the year was a healthy inactive at times. Kingsley Suamataia, they watched this offensive line get annihilated in the Super Bowl, and Suamataia never came into the game. Like, I just don't think you can go into it with that as your plan. So if you're Veach, are you kind of painted into a corner here where it's like, look, pick a guy and pray that you're right. I mean, that's not exactly the best sound draft strategy in the world, but I don't know that they have a lot of options. The other option is try to trade for somebody. I don't know who that would be. There are not a lot of great available left tackles out there, and they're going to cost a lot, but that might be the other option. I just don't know market-wise who are you looking at, what are you talking about. They do not have a lot of great options. There's no argument about that.
We're talking to Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated. Before we get to some national kind of news around the NFL a little bit, we were just discussing the wide receiver market for the Chiefs and free agency. We know they're interested in bringing back Hollywood Brown. What are you hearing on that front end? Do you think they would be active with any other wide receivers? Because the free agent options aren't great.
They're not. But I will say I am in the camp of I think they ought to be active. Look, Hollywood Brown, barring a big surprise, you're looking at a one-year deal, very similar to last year. Probably some incentives in there, right? As he comes back off the injury, he hopes to have a healthy year. Tell of a market, I don't know that he's going to have a crazy market. You know, obviously everybody saw the same thing last year. He played, two games in the regular season, and he wasn't overly productive. So, yeah, I would say that you're probably, to being honest, you're looking at a one-year deal with incentives. I agree that the other side of this deal is it's not great. Like, there's not a lot of free agents out there. I think if you're the Chiefs, do you make a call to New Orleans and inquire about Chris Olave? That might be the move I would try to make from Beach here. Now, the downside is he has had concussions. They are serious, obviously. You know, you might get nothing out of that move. However, he is making $1 million next year. And he's got a year left on his deal with the fifth-year option available to them if they want to pick that up and give him a two-year deal, essentially. He is young. He's had multiple 1,000-yard seasons with bad quarterback play. Like, that might be the move. And I don't think it costs them a ton. I think they could probably get Olave for their own third-round pick. Like, I would make the phone call and see what you can get done, because if that hits, that's a hell of a lot better than anything you're in free agency.
Let's take a look at the rest of the NFL. Obviously, quarterback continues to be the conversation. What's your best guess? Stafford reportedly is going to meet today, I guess, with the Rams. You think he's a Ram, a Giant, or a Raider by this time next week?
I think he's a Ram. I think he's a Ram. I still, in the end, look, the Rams gave him permission to talk to other teams. And apparently just accidentally run into guys on ski slopes in Montana.
That's right. Happens all the time, you know?
Constantly. I mean, who doesn't just go randomly? I mean, how often is it that two guys just get on the same lift? Like, are you a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Oh, so am I. Let's talk about that on our way up the hill. But, look, it's ridiculous. But in any event, no, look, I think he stays with the Rams. I don't think it's guaranteed. I think it's slightly better than a coin flip. But if you're Stafford, if you can get a couple more million out of the Rams, do you really want to go play for the Raiders or the Giants? I mean, you're 37. You have no shot of winning anything significant with those teams. You're behind awful offensive lines. In the Giants, you have one real weapon. The Raiders, you really don't have any outside of a guy like Kobe Myers. I just think if you're Stafford, you live in L.A., you get along incredibly well with McVay. You've got an offensive line. You've got weapons. My guess is that he stays put, but it is a real thing. Like, it is the thing where if the Rams don't want to kind of meet him halfway, then I think there's a chance he's on the move. And I think the Raiders are probably the leader in the clubhouse. But look, both those teams are desperate.
Did you happen to stop at a Starbucks inside the JW Marriott this week?
Threaten anybody while you were there?
You know, I didn't, but I got to talk to some people who are very involved, including one guy who actually got called to NFL security about the incident. That was the talk of the town, and you know, I got to tell you, you know, a lot of times at the combine, it's exciting because it's, you know, really it's started a new league year, and you're getting all this information and whatnot. That, in the 6 years I've gone to the combine, probably the most fun I've had. I just couldn't believe it was real, and then it became very apparent it was real, and everybody talked about it for the next 2 days.
Do you in any way believe that Tom Brady and Matt Stafford accidentally ran into each other on a mountain in Montana? You said no?
No. Okay. No. I mean, here's my best guess as to what happened. Jordan Schultz reports that they met, and then the Raiders probably realized, like, hey, they met before the Rams gave permission for him to go to other teams. And in this day and age, like, somebody's got a photo, right? Like, somebody snapped the picture. And I think at that point, you know, listen, I'm not blaming Ian Rappaport. I get it. Like, all of a sudden, hey, no, you know, it's accidental, fine, whatever. And Jordan Schultz dug in. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, this is what happened. And then there was a verbal confrontation at the Starbucks. And, you know, look, who doesn't love a good source-off? It's a good time. But no. I mean, the chances that those guys were at the same ski resort in Montana at the same time, and then on top of that, ran into each other at the place. I'm sorry. No, I do not believe that.
Yeah, I just it's so part of it, and then that's all the part of the story. Well, I asked his agent, and he said they didn't meet. I guess this is what my problem is, Matt. And this is small, and then we can let you get out of here. I don't like that the league keeps bending over backwards to break different rules for Tom Brady. He's not having to operate under the same conditions.
He's not, and it's a sore spot with a lot of teams. A lot of teams are not happy with what's gone on here. I mean, there's no two ways. Look, let's call it what it is. Every team in the league tampers. Every single one of them. All right? They all do it. They all do it somewhat brazenly. I mean, Indianapolis is just a tampering festival for 5 days. I mean, that's what it is. That being said, okay, this stuff with the Raiders and Stafford, Brady, and the availability he has and the access he has because he works with Fox, at some point, they're going to have to either tell Brady, look, you got to move off of your Fox job, or we're going to have to restrict you to a point that it is non-conducive for Fox to allow you to broadcast. Because you should not be able to have the access on a weekly basis that he does that's sanctioned not only by the league, but by one of the broadcast partners, and then say that that's okay. Because it's not okay for anybody else, and at some point it does become a question of competition fairness.
Safe travels back from Indy, Matt. We heard the turn signals being utilized, so that's good. I'm glad you've got that. Hopefully you're driving safe back home.
I'm driving to Chicago. It's a disaster. It'll be all right.
All right, there you go. That's Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated. Also, the Matt Verderame Show. He's got his Patreon, does a great job covering the league, and he was in Indy throughout the week. But he said out of the 6 years he's been there, the Jordan Schultz, Ian Rappaport, Starbucks verbal altercation was the hottest topic that he's had throughout the most fun he's ever had throughout the whole thing.
I mean, when you do NFL news and two of the people who break NFL news are in a verbal altercation in a Starbucks that happened to also include the former CEO's son and one of the biggest reporters over at the NFL Network, it's funny.
They called in other reporters from NFL security to talk about it.
I still can't believe, though, that Rappaport called security. Come on, man.
Was that? Do we know for sure? Here's because this was Rappaport on. I think he was on with McAfee yesterday.
Yeah, he's mostly making a joke at this. It's not even McAfee. It's I think he was getting ready to go to NFL Live.
Okay, this was Rappaport though.
There is one other member of our broadcast team we've got to bring in. And he is the Jake Paul of NFL Network. Lots of buzz. He's trending with no punches thrown. Ian Rappaport. Rap sheet?
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, I would say I'm
He looks a little under-caffeinated, actually, to be honest.
No, I'm properly caffeinated. A lot of great coffee brands. Dunkin' does a really nice job.
Nice.
Peet's actually is a fantastic coffee. I could go on and on about the coffee brands that I love. That's not for right now. Let's talk right now about Abdul Carter, the Penn State.
Taking shots.
I love that he looks under-caffeinated. That was a great take by whoever that was.
You look under-caffeinated.
Rich Eisen and Jeff Darlington. Or Rich Eisen and...
Pelissero, was it?
Maybe that's who. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe that's who
I
was
couldn't tell
with
whose
him.
voice it was.
Yeah.
Just dying at that thing. I'll never forget that story. I'll remember that about the Combine more than how fast someone ran. Unless someone breaks the 40 record.
Isaiah Bond says he's going to do it.
Did he really?
He's Isaiah Bond,
didn't he play with?
Former teammate Xavier Worthy at Texas said that he's going to have the fastest 40 time, which means he needs to break Worthy's record 4.21.
4.21. He thinks he's running faster than a 4.21?
He said he's ran a 4.23 before. Well, that's a big difference from a 4.20.
How's he going to beat it if he's never even run the speed that he ran?
Performance facility the last 2 months, I guess. I don't know.
Some about the Indy turf.
Practicing before?
Some about that Colts turf, the Lucas Oil.
A little
field.
extra speed to it, you think?
Plus, you're more amped up than ever. This is the biggest 5 seconds of your life in this moment.
What amped up could be bad in a 40 because one
100%
little technical mistake and your time's going down a little.
Good thing you get 2 of them, I guess, at least. Which is where he should run the time like a solid time, not even worry about it. Then the second one, if he posts a 4.26. Go all out in the next one and just see what happens.
Solid time. That's so fast.
Why do I feel like if you're going to run the record breaking, it's got to be on your first one? Was Worthy's on his first or second? Just
getting a feel.
Just getting a feel for it on the first one.
Like a practice run,
Just warm up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Post a solid time so you can afford to make mistakes. Where hey, if he runs a 4.5 or no, not a 4.5, he runs like a 4.35, and it's I was going all out, and the hands got a little.
Yeah, I see it as well. We're going to talk more about this on the other side too.
Guess was right.
Yeah. So Adam Schefter just seconds ago That's what Cody was looking on his phone. He just saw it as well. We both saw it at the same time. The Rams and Matthew Stafford, according to Shefty, have reached an agreement on a restructured deal that will keep him in L.A. and ends any and all trade speculation. So Raiders, move on to the next guy. Bad meeting in Montana. Didn't work out. No, it sounds like what happened here is Stafford was already under contract.
He's leveraging.
They were able to go out, him and his agent, and say, hey, 2 teams are willing to give me $50 million a year. You guys got me on the book for, X amount of money. Will you guarantee some more money? And it looks like there was some sort of agreement. I don't know if he's going to get the exact same deal, but close enough. And he doesn't have to move, and he knows he can have success there. He doesn't go play for a crappy franchise like the Giants or Raiders. So it make leverage play. They played the game well.
Good luck, Aaron Rodgers, wherever he goes. I mean, it's not L.A.
No, but the Raiders are still open. Giants are still open for business.
No way the Giants do it. There's no way the Giants do that.
Those 2 teams desperately still want a quarterback, that's for sure.
So that's the first thing that needed to be taken care of in the QB carousel from the offseason. And
the biggest domino, honestly.
Yeah, because that had a huge trickle-down effect. Absolutely. I thought there was a decent chance that he would finally say, you know what, I want someplace else. But my guess is we're going to find out that the Rams came pretty close to the dollar amount.
I think so.
Doesn't have an opportunity to leave after all. All right, up next, someone we know is coming back as well. That's Travis Kelce after yesterday's news and his own social media channels. We're going to talk about what do we expect the season to look like, though, for Travis Kelce. And Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, is going to join us from Surprise. We'll talk to him about that outfield and what we should expect next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Guys, could you benefit a little extra in the bedroom? We all could. Blue Chew can help, whether you're dealing with erectile dysfunction or you're like my upstairs neighbors and you want to get it on at any time of the day. Look to Blue Chew. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. If you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. You probably take a pre-workout or have a coffee before training, so why should sex be any different? That's why more guys are turning to Blue Chew. Ready for a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
March is almost here, and college basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, don't miss Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, save $20 on a Power Torque 248-piece mechanics tool set. O Rewards members get a $5 reward. Power Torque professional hand tools come with a lifetime guarantee. Visit your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf, Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Lifetime guaranteed Power Torque professional hand tools only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll head out to Arizona. Josh Vernier, our Royals Insider, are going to join us. We're also a half hour away from a Fan Club Friday. Gorgeous day in Kansas City. As we joked about earlier, if we could just absolutely roll down the windows in the studio, we would today. It would be an incredible day to do it. I hope you guys are enjoying the Friday. If not, hopefully you get a chance to enjoy it a little bit later on this afternoon. Ben Heisler going to join us for Fan Club Friday. We'll hang out with him a little bit. We'll talk some Chiefs, some Royals. We'll get back into Matthew Stafford news that just broke. We talked about it a little bit there. If you're just tuning in, you didn't catch it in the last segment, you're on your lunch break, whatever it may be, Adam Schefter reporting that the Rams and Matthew Stafford have agreed to new terms to keep him in L.A. versus trading him to the reported Raiders or Giants that had quite a bit of interest, including Tom Brady meeting him in a ski slope in Montana.
Accidentally.
Ran
into each other. Come on, man.
Just a coincidence. Yeah, just a coincidence. So we will get back to that in just a little bit. You guys can always interact with us on the Jay Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. We got the video stream up and running, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want. You can also, when you go to those, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. It makes it way easier when you are on YouTube in particular. You don't have to try to search for where 96.5 The Fan is. So that way, when any of our shows are live, right, whether it's our show or, of course, Fesco and Dusty or The Drive, whenever they're live, it'll be right there on the front of the YouTube page.
Can't wait. Looking forward to talking to Vern here in just a little bit. Again, you can see that over on those exact same channels. Quickly on Stafford before we get up to the next stuff, including the stadium talk that we were talking about. This is the logical conclusion, unless it was only about money. So by choosing to stay in there, I mean, they're at least semi-relevant. I mean, is anyone in the NFC West good? The 49ers are trying to get rid of everybody. Do they even like their quarterback? They're trying to trade Debo and Ayuk. Is Geno going to start again for the Seahawks?
The way it's trending, yes. If you're asking, like, who's the favorite in the NFC West heading into next season? Well, if Stafford coming back, I think it's the Rams. Yeah. It's the Rams, and then I think the Niners will still have decent odds to do it. The Cardinals and Seahawks will still be the two teams with the worst odds to win. I don't know if much will really change with the preseason projections, other than this year it'll probably be the Rams as the favorites. Last year the Niners were coming off a Super Bowl appearance, so they were still there. And then they had all the injuries, and they had a massively disappointing 2024 year. And yeah, their roster could look quite a bit different. But the fact that Stafford's back, to me, ensures with Sean McVay, the Rams are going to be in the mix like they always are. Remember, they started 1-4 a year ago. Even without Cooper Kupp, if they trade him away the way or cut him, the Rams will be a factor, no doubt. Their defensive front, the two young guys they have now, had great rookie years.
Yeah, they drafted really well.
Yeah.
They had, I mean, the one guy, the rookie of the year.
And then the other one, Fisk or whatever his name was, the other one, they had a really nice season. So
if you have that, then just keep your quarterback together and try to keep it running. I also think that if Stafford leaves, McVay might retire.
Oh, just go do TV.
Yeah. I actually think that that could have happened right after that. He would have left and then just been like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not doing it with whoever is left at quarterback. I'll see you later.
He would have done TV, and then he'd come back in like 6 or 7 years to Kansas City. That's what you're saying.
Gotcha. That's the dream scenario, but I don't think we're going to get quite that lucky.
I don't think so either. All right, I want to talk about Travis Kelce, though, because it is all, I mean, it's official, essentially, as far as I'm concerned, with where things are at with Travis Kelce coming back. His own social media channels, Pat McAfee yesterday, he's coming back for, we think, what will be his last year in the NFL. And now that we know that's the case, what do we actually expect him to do? You and I were going back and forth earlier. We can cut to the chase on it. You think he can have a 1,000-yard season?
I do. I don't think that's out of the question. I understand that last year he fell well short of that. He was in like the 850 range. The year before that, I obviously think he would have been, and I think we all know he would have
16
been
yards short.
A 1,000-yard wide receiver. Had that been the case, it didn't work out that way, but he would have been a 1,000-yard receiver. And the year before that, he was. I think a huge chunk of his yardage total dip was related to the fact that they had no passing game beyond 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage at all. The whole offense was like that. It wasn't just because they were throwing to Travis Kelce. It was everyone they were throwing to. It was the shortest average depth of target out of any team in all of football. So I think a huge chunk of it is that. I understand he is older. I get the idea. But that's also why I'm not saying he's going to have 1,200 yards. His career average is 13 and a half yards a catch and 1,200 yards. I'm telling you he's going to average 10 and a half, have 95 catches, and get 1,000. Probably right at that number. I think if it were 970, I'd probably come on here and say, I was right.
Yeah.
Because you and I are probably a couple hundred yards apart at this point.
Yeah.
And now that he said he's going to come back, I honestly think that that's probably where it is.
He had 133 targets. That doesn't happen if Rashee Rice doesn't get hurt. So looking at the health, and what's presumed guys are healthy next year, even if Rice is suspended for a couple of those games, I don't think there's anywhere close to the amount of targets there for Travis. I have him in the 750 to 850 range. So, yeah, we're off by at least 150 yards, depending on which number we want to look at, the high end of it. I just think, while the yards per reception maybe is a little bit higher than 8.5, like I don't think he's going to get back into the 11 or 12 yards per catch realm. I think the target range for him, instead of 133, I think it's one. Yeah, which, by the way, you got to go all the way back to his 27-year-old season when he had 117 targets, and then 26-year-old season when he was 103. I think we see that dip. You know, all of a sudden, if he's down to 110 targets and 800 yards is not a crazy thing. And I think that means he's still helping his team in a big way, even if he's in that 750 to 850 range. He's the third option potentially in this receiving room. I think that's what he was supposed to be this past year anyway.
Probably.
I hear you on the short yardage stuff. I think the yards per catch can be up. I just think the targets are going to be down quite a bit.
I guess
they could be down, he could have 30. He could have 25 less, 30 less targets next year, and that honestly, for him and for the team, might be a good thing. That's not truly. That means the offense overall, I think, is working better.
I think it's not necessarily a bad thing that they would go down. But so someone's always like, well, just Worthy's going to get more. the way it typically works for wide receivers like Xavier Worthy is like the targets don't rocket fire up. You're just more productive in those targets. Yeah, so some will go less to the guys who got random passes like Juju and Justin Watson. To me, there's plenty of targets to go around that were miscellaneously applied across the board. I'll say, if Hollywood Brown comes back, it's a little harder. But, I mean, he's at least, I think, still the second option based on total number of targets this year. One, because Rashee Rice is out there. And I can make an argument that he would still end up, I still think in a full calendar year, he'll get more targets than Xavier Worthy. So I still think he's the number one target getter on the Chiefs offense. Now that's
a mistake. I think it's a mistake if that happens.
I don't think the offense should run through him. And I think the only reason he would get the most targets is because Rashee Rice isn't playing a full slate of games in my mind.
Yeah.
And that when he returned, Rashee would get the most, Kelsey would get the second most, Worthy would get the third most. Because that's how it works I think Goddard, and without looking, I'm going to guess Goddard got more targets than Devonta Smith. Yeah. It's not how they didn't use the offense of that. It's just deep threat, wide receivers.
Completely different offense. They barely passed the ball in Philadelphia.
Yeah, but just a target share, not a total number of targets. Just a target share. Devonta Smith is a more valuable weapon in my mind than Goddard. But if you're going to make me guess without looking, I guess I could look. Who got more targets? I would guess that Goddard got more targets than Devonta Smith, but that A.J. Brown got the most.
Based on how last year ended, though, the last 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season, including the playoffs, if you're targeting Kelsey as much as Worthy, aren't you, in a way, doesn't it, and this is no offense to Travis Kelsey, aren't you not limiting your offense, but you're taking away what, throughout the course of the final part of the season, was the biggest threat in your offense? I mean, I know it was late in the game, but the man had 150 yards in the Super Bowl, broke a record, and had two great catches. I feel like you want to have Xavier Worthy more targeted more because of what he showed you in the latter part of the season. It doesn't mean that you don't target Travis Kelsey 7 to 8 times a game, but taking it away from Xavier Worthy after he showed what he can do, I think is an interesting choice.
At 36, if Travis Kelsey had a 5-touchdown, 800-yard season, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Let's
not act like that's a terrible season or anything.
No, I'm not here to say if he finishes 850 again.
But I think it is a mistake if we sit here next January going into the postseason and Travis Kelsey has either the most or second most targets on the team. I think that means somebody else got hurt. And I would argue that offense, that explosive offense that we're all talking about them getting back to via either wide receiver or more explosive back, then it probably didn't happen. That's all I'm saying. I don't think if you believe the offense has a chance to get back to not scoring at will, but certainly some flashes of that. And what we saw at training camp when we were in August, they were taking shots down the field and all that just never came to fruition. A lot of that was the offensive line, admittedly, issues clearly. I don't think the formula for them to be at their best next year is Travis Kelsey having the first or second most targets. That's all.
I don't think that he should be I don't think the offense should go through him anymore. And I guess the only reason I'm telling you I think he finishes first is because I don't think Rashee Rice is available. Now, I looked it up. I was way off. Goddard had way less than Devonta Smith, so I'd have to find a different offense.
That offense in Philly is a different makeup, man. It's
a weirdo mix of nonsense, and so it's harder to do. Like last year, Xavier Worthy, at just 21 years old, had 98 targets. So he had 98 targets and only had 638 yards.
Okay.
So, it's not, and I guess it's always, this is how I just view their offense. Xavier Worthy, for the deep threat that he is, he only averaged 10.8 yards per catch. Not very good for a speedy wide receiver who runs a 4.21.
That's the whole explosive down the field stuff that we're talking about, right? That they got to get, that we saw at training camp, and it was virtually non-existent during the season. And if they have a bad left tackle situation again and they don't have an explosive back, then they're going to have more of the extension of the run game stuff going all over again, and they're not going to have some opportunities over the top. That is still fundamentally something that has to change. It wasn't in the cards this year, and I think it was because of the left tackle spot.
It's also why I don't read into, what we just said, why I don't read into the yards per catch as much for Kelsey is Xavier Worthy only got 10.8 in this offense.
I think it's just anytime you have a career low, right, by 2 yards.
I know.
That's what it is. That's the only reason why, because he averages 12 yards a catch in his entire career, and future Hall of Famer, greatest tight end of all time. But when you go from 12.2 2 years ago to 8.5, people are going to notice that, right? A 4 yards per catch difference. Now there's more nuance, yes, that's required, but that's why everybody brings it up and why it's discussed. All right, let's skip back to some baseball briefly, though, out in Arizona. Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, joining us. Hopefully you caught his Hot Stove show last night. He had Seth Lugo and Carter Jensen on the show. I was impressed with Carter, just listening to him, Vern, just the way he kind of talked about working with Salvian and honestly, like kind of his maturity and understanding of the work that he's going to have to put in.
Yeah, it's just always amazing to me the sacrifice that so many of these guys have to commit to at such an early age. Maybe I marvel at it because I know I was unwilling to do those things, right? Instead of going out on a Friday or Saturday night, you got to hit the gym and then you're up in the cage early in the morning. Yeah, the maturity of Carter Jensen in that conversation yesterday, well beyond his years. And I'll tell you what, the kid looks like a well-rounded athlete, a lot like an MJ Melendez, to where even if he's not the future catcher of this team, let's say Blake Mitchell becomes that guy, you'll find a spot, whether it's a corner outfield spot, likely a corner outfield spot. But, yeah, Carter Jensen. And, you know, when I asked about his career on-base percentage being north of 360, and he says it all comes back to patience and trust. Even if you're staring down a 0 for 15, don't start expanding the zone. Trust your work. Showcase the patience. There's a reason why the kid in 4 years has skyrocketed to one of the top 90 prospects in all of Major League Baseball.
Vern, the first thing that stood out to me today was Massey in left field. We knew that. Okay, get another start out there. See how you're comfortable. Michael Garcia in center? Is that just to get some at-bats, or are they actually kicking that around too?
Yeah, they're kicking that around. Just, you know, to me, I consider it the same as Massey in left and India in left. Again, it's just protection in case, Kyle Isbell is lesser than offensively, lesser than he has been in years previous. We see maybe a little bit more of Michael Garcia in center field. Now, again, I'm not holding my breath. And let's remember, 2 years ago, this was also something that was floated out in spring training. He got a little bit of work out there a few springs ago, never made it into a Cactus League game. So today will be his Cactus League debut in center field. Again, like we've talked about with India, like we've talked about with Michael Massey in left field, this is just a byproduct of a better 40-man roster, a more talented 26-man roster. And, you know, we had the evaluation season of 2023 where everyone got an opportunity. Last year, a guy like Nelson Velasquez and MJ Melendez were given jobs on opening day because of what they did in the final 2 months of the 2023 season. And then Hunter Renfroe got the job because of the contract. Well, you look at that outfield for 2025, nothing is given. It's going to come down to who's hitting well. And, you know, listen, again, Kyle Isbell, I would imagine, is going to be judged on a slightly different scale because of his defensive prowess, especially if he's flanked by a Melendez and a Massey, guys that will likely need some help out there in the outfield. But, no, the thing I'm excited to see with Michael Garcia is, you know, over the past year and a half, and I've had conversations with him, is, you know, this is a guy that had a difficult time, understandably so, dealing with failure at the highest level, dealing with hitting a 110-mile-per-hour rocket and it finding the glove of the left fielder or the second baseman. You'll often either see or hear Michael in the dugout breaking a bat, spiking his helmet. So he says he's trying to learn from Bobby, learn from Salvi how to move on from those disappointing at-bats a little bit quicker. And, you know, I think the challenge of practicing and learning a new position will help him turn the page from at-bats a little bit quicker. Do I expect to see Michael Garcia make 40 starts, 25 starts in center? No, I really don't. If we see Michael Garcia on a regular basis, it's going to be at third base or it's going to be on the bench. Again, center fielder to me is more of a, we are struggling for offense, and we have to shoehorn anybody that's swinging a hot bat in there by any means necessary.
Bobby Wood Jr., first home run of spring. I'm sure it won't be the last one of spring, and definitely won't be the last one we see this calendar year period. What does he look like out there? I know it sounds silly for a guy that was runner-up in MVP and has, I think, the second or third best odds to win MVP this year.
Yeah, and to go back to the Hot Stove show last night, talking with Seth Lugo about the young Royals that made their October debut last year and how it has maybe not I don't want to say refocused them, especially a guy like Bobby who is as focused as a young superstar as we've seen in these parts, probably dating back to maybe a young Alex Gordon or even going back further than that. But what I found interesting in that Lugo conversation is guys are showing up to camp with the understanding that we have 7 months of baseball to go. That this is a playoff caliber team. And right now we're all not trying to make a team. We're not trying to impress coaches. We're not trying to impress teammates. What we're trying to do is get our work in, build a bond, become a family in this clubhouse, and, stay healthy. So, Bobby's attitude after that home run yesterday was, yeah, it's nice to get it out of the way, but I'm just having so much fun right now working with this team with the common goal of getting back to October and getting deeper than we did just a season ago. And this is something we discussed at the beginning of camp of, it is, I don't want to say business-like because they are having a good time. They are cutting it up in the clubhouse. But you're not seeing them get carried away with the things that can distract young ball players in spring training, putting up big numbers, getting as many at-bats, getting as much of a hardcore workout in. No, these guys understand they have a lot of baseball ahead of them, and you can't win a World Series in February, March, April, or May. For as young as this team is at its core with those key pieces, it's a very mature young team, in my opinion.
Vern, I saw also in the lineup today, one half of the Meatballs, Jack Caglione getting his first start. What do we think about Jack out there at first?
Yeah, it's going to be nice to see him out there in the first inning, getting those at-bats in the first or second inning, not walking off the field in the second or third to go get his hacks in the cage and then come in cold. No, this is going to be his first time running out there with the guys. It's every once in a while you see something where you go, okay, yeah, he's still, even though he's built like a 30-year-old man, he's still a 22-year-old young man. I didn't bring this up to him yet, but he must have an affinity for Sprite. I've never seen a guy drink as much Sprite in the morning. Maybe he's not on coffee yet. I know it takes guys a little while before they mature and have that palate for a good coffee. He's still sucking down Sprites in the morning, and you can do that when you're 22. But as you guys know, once those years start to mount up, the gut's going to start showing your proclivity to suck down the carbonated.
That's crazy. At 7 a.m, just cracking down a Sprite?
Sucking them down, yeah, and the cans always look small in his gigantic hand.
I'm still team no coffee though, Vern. I'm not a coffee guy. Really? But I also am not drinking Sprite at 7 a.m. or whatever.
Well, do you need anything to get going, or you're just so in love with life that you're just bouncing out of bed?
Vern, I get to work with Cody and Drew every single day, and that's enough for me, man. That's enough for me,
Well, I was on the way. I wanted to make sure I was settled and everything before you guys called, and I had to use the restroom real quick, and the only place I could find was this casino out here that had an open restroom. So now I'm here. I got a little bit of time to kill.
Nice.
Gold, what table should I head to? You feeling anything?
Well, just right now, just for the sake of the show, and if we need to use our show fund to Venmo you, we can. I think you put.
I think so.
Put a little
50
something
on black or something?
Oh, I was going to think a number of a Royals player or something, but sure.
We're talking CAG, so 14?
Yeah, put a little
20
something
bucks on 14.
Put a little something on 14.
What are the chances that hits?
All right. Could have said anything and I would have done it. I'm on my way right now.
Love it. All right, Vern, report back, please, especially if you win. Especially. All right, there you go. That's
14 hit 2 spins ago.
You got to be kidding me.
God, so close.
Well, here's the thing. They want you to see that board, Vern. It can hit again, man. It can hit again.
Same odds.
Okay. All right.
There's Vern, our Royals insider. That's the thing, man. That board, you don't want to pay attention to it. I know we all think there's no way I can hit a third time. It technically has the same chance, same odds to hit a third time. That sucks, though. It was 14-2 spins ago.
That was like the time we walked up and we were going to play one of Taylor Swift numbers, and it hit like the second, like while we were waiting for you to come back from the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
we were in Vegas. I was like, oh, the timing is so close.
That was bad. Yeah. That was bad. Someone says, can't believe Gold, raw dog's life, no coffee or energy drinks. Never been a coffee guy. The only time I'll do energy drinks if I'm on a road trip and I know I'm like 12 hours in and I got another hour or two to go. I'm like, all right, energy drink. Other than that, yeah, not a big energy drink guy. You guys know I drink Propel. Sometimes I'll drink Gatorade.
I'll be honest. I think that comment. I think that's out of pocket for you to use that phrase. And
that's the text line.
That's what the text line says.
I'm reading text, Drew. I'm reading text.
I know. It's something against you. It's whoever's texting in.
Yeah, never been an energy drink guy. Now, when I was doing mornings, my first job in radio, I did a Rooster Booster from Quick Trip inside my drinks, but that was when I was getting up at 4 a.m. And if I all of a sudden was getting up at 4 a.m., I probably would have to. But now, no, we don't get up that early where I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I got to have an energy drink.
Have you had a coffee?
Have I ever had a sip of coffee?
Yeah, Starbucks, right? Or something like that, I'm sure.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. But
sometimes you say you don't like something, you haven't had it. I didn't know if coffee was one of those
I've
things.
had it, just not a huge fan of the taste, but also I don't feel the need to, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm dragging so much, I need caffeine. Like, we've all done the 5-hour energy thing before. Not for me either.
Pretty rare. Those
I've
make
never
me
had a
feel
5-hour
jittery.
energy.
Yeah, that can happen too.
Back when I used to do like courier work, I'd take like those trucker pills from like gas stations in the middle of Kansas.
Like the horse pills, like those
yellow jackets and stuff, and just essentially legalize speed.
Those can't be healthy.
Oh God, no! It was like 25, it's like 3 a.m, and I'm trying to drive through Kansas to get home.
Yeah, no, unless
How many
I'm
of
on
them
a...
did you take?
Oh, at those times you just take one, but you can't. I mean, you pop more than that. You're
like if I had to go drive, if I had to go drive 9 hours after work today somewhere, then I would probably 4 hours in, I would probably go find an energy drink. Otherwise, just not my thing.
It's fair.
Up next, we're going to get to a little fan club Friday. I got an update. Heist will be here. He's running a little late. I've got the reason why he's running late.
Is it a good one?
Plus, we'll get back. Oh, it's pretty funny. Plus, we'll get into some more details coming out. Now that Stafford is staying with the Rams, guess who the New York Giants have turned their attention to? We'll tell you next.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
And Doug. Quickly, Moo. We don't have much time. This Liberty ad is already almost over. We only have a few precious seconds to remind people to customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Okay. Well, I guess we had more time than I thought.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239. 800-352-9239 or biglou.com.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf, Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 16. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY Days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Lifetime guaranteed Power Torque professional hand tools only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Dusty Likens, and in case you didn't already know, I'm here to tell you that you can watch all the shows here on 96.5 The Fan across all our social media channels. That's right. If you want to see our smiling faces as we talk about the best sports fans and teams in the country, subscribe to our YouTube channel or watch on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. Wake up with us, eat lunch with us, and go home with us. Your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5 The Fan.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all the shows from your phone, desktop, or tablet. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
It's about to be a Fan Club Friday. Our guest today, Ben Heisler. He'll be joining us in about 10 minutes. You're like, well, why is he not here now? Well, I got a text, Cody, from Heis. He will be here maybe 10, 15 minutes from now. He said, this is going to sound ridiculous, he said. My garage door is stuck. I can't get it to close. I've been trying to fix it for the last 15 minutes.
Did he just pull the emergency handle so that he can release it?
He eventually texted and said, I just fixed it. Going to be there a little after 1:10 or so. I said, no problem. He just tweeted at us as well, at Benny Heis. Running a bit late. I'm not proud of it, but I promise it's a good reason. Yeah. Look, it happens. We'll find out ultimately what he ended up doing to fix it. But, life happens. It's a nice day, though, Heis. I know security reasons, but you know what? You leave the garage door open, and I'm sure, a nice neighborhood, 70 degrees outside. Let the garage air out a little bit.
We've all left a garage door open at some point. I've done it like overnight and been like, oh, God.
Overnight's probably not great because you get critters in there or whatever.
But I it's happening.
You can have a damn possum inside of your garage. That's what I told you the one time where growing up as a kid, open garage, I might have been 10 or 11 years old, if that. And my dad was coming home late from work or whatever. And I guess I was excited to greet him or whatever. So I ran downstairs towards the garage door. I opened the garage door, like from the house. And a skunk just staring straight at me. Did not spray.
Thank God.
But we just made eye contact. And I was like, and I just shut the door. And that was it. And then, of course, my dad had to try to broom it out of the but neither one of us got sprayed by the skunk. Have you ever been sprayed by a skunk? I think you've told me about
Have you really?
Yeah.
I never have, thankfully.
Dude, I think maybe this comes from just being like a pure outdoor kid or whatever. I have had leeches. I've been sprayed by a skunk. I've been stung by a million bees or wasps. I don't know, man. You name it, and I've had that outdoor thing occur to me.
Which drink do you want? You brought in a cooler
No,
some stuff?
I went ahead and poured myself one of these whiskeys because I didn't get one the other day.
Oh, nice.
Drew already got his drink, so actually...
I've got the seltzer.
Because Heisler's late. World, open season in the cooler.
I want a classic Blue Moon. There's a Cutwater mango margarita.
I thought you might like
I
thought you might like the mango margarita. Summertime,
Yeah, Quirk, blueberry, lemon, lavender. I'll go with the Cutwater. I don't mind Cutwater. I'll go with the Cutwater.
And then Heisel gets something to drink when he gets in.
Mango margarita.
Okay, so we got to talk in the NFL. Obviously, Stafford, if you guys missed it, Stafford has agreed to
You're
go
right
back to the Rams.
Drew? You knocking things over?
Multi-year deal.
I went to open up my
We
can.
just started drinking.
I was trying to raise it up for aesthetic, and I bumped the mic, and I was like, oh, crap, I got to set this down. And by the time I did, the mic had already slammed it back. So
go ahead, Cody. There's an update because of Stafford
because
staying
Stafford's going back. That
Los-
apparently the New York Giants have turned their attention to Aaron Rodgers.
That's according to that.
Are they that desperate?
Diana Rossini says that is now the move. Here's what I wonder. Let's say they actually go and get Aaron Rodgers. Remember, this will have to be via free agency. He has to be cut. He's going to be cut. So via free agency. If you're the Giants, does this make sense if I told you guys that Rodgers is going to start for 1 year, but they're still going to draft, let's call it Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? And they say Rodgers for 1 year, We're going to have Sanders or Ward behind him unless Rodgers just flat out stinks. Because if they're not going to draft a quarterback and it's just Rodgers with Neighbors and Tracy and it's the final year of Daboll,
he's just going to play in the same stadium that's gone so great the last 2 years.
I didn't think Rodgers played good last year. So now he's on maybe a better team, although I don't think weapons was really a problem with the Jets.
They had a great roster.
Yeah.
They had plenty of weapons. Are you kidding?
No, I'm with you guys.
Bad offensive line, I guess, but the Giants
and
isn't good.
bad coaching staff.
And bad coaching.
And we, not that the
Dave
Giants
was at least average head coach. Below average, not as bad as the other guy.
So the only way this even makes sense is we're going to start Rodgers for a year, and we're still going to draft a young quarterback.
Isn't it something where if you're Brian Daboll, you just have to take the quarterback you think is going to save your job because that's where they're at.
He thinks Rodgers is going to save his job, but
I don't agree
if he saves
with
your
that.
job, what's he saving for? 12 to 24 months? Like, it's not like you've got the problem solved. What if he took Aaron Rodgers, but then here's the problem. Normally, I would say, hey, have the 1-year vet. You think Cam Ward needs a year, whoever, right? You think Shedeur Sanders needs a year to develop, and you do both. But do you want Aaron Rodgers getting the stink of his attitude on any other quarterback on your roster? I sure as hell don't. If I'm taking a first-round quarterback, I don't want Aaron Rodgers as the mentor. That seems like it only goes horribly, I think. I don't know. It seems like a terrible, terrible idea. I thought no team would be interested in Aaron Rodgers at all. I just didn't think there'd be a single team interested in Aaron Rodgers this offseason. I just figured he was going to get kicked out of the league by nobody being interested.
So, okay, think about the candidates, right? So Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles. We all saw what Rodgers looked like off the Achilles. This is now 2 years removed, but Kirk Cousins looked terrible. Giants, Kirk Cousins, wouldn't feel great about that either. Justin Fields, nothing really there. I'm just trying to think, honestly, who's a better free agent option, though, if you're the Giants?
Nobody.
Yeah, so they would have to make a trade. Rodgers, they don't have to trade. They don't have to give up any assets. So in that regard, it makes sense. I just think if you're bringing Rodgers, you got to go the rookie route. I know what you're saying. You don't think he's going to be good for a young quarterback, but I think Rodgers is there 1 year anyway. And so if I'm the Giants and it depends. How do they feel about Cam Ward and Sanders? If they like both of them, on one hand, you say, well, then just draft the rookie and start him right away. That's the challenge. As much as I think you still draft the quarterback, the reality is if you're willing to go with Aaron Rodgers, you probably don't love Sanders or Cam Ward.
I agree. Because if you feel like you're good on them, but you want to bring Aaron Rodgers anyways, it doesn't make any sense. Because if you feel good enough about them, you're just going to play the rookie right away.
But you know what? In fairness, I think Pete Carroll mentioned this with the Raiders, having more competition at quarterback. Let's just say let's say they took Shedeur Sanders. They traded down, they took Shedeur. They also brought in Aaron Rodgers. If they start Shedeur game 1 because they're he's already better than Aaron Rodgers, that's not a bad thing. That's like when the Seahawks gave Matt Flynn the money, and then they're like, we're going to go ahead and have Russell Wilson start. That's usually a pretty good sign, in my opinion, that guy is the goods. Because it is hard, even as bad as Aaron Rodgers was last year. It is hard to be a rookie quarterback and look as good as Aaron Rodgers day 1 at training camp. That's a big ask. You would have to be looking particularly good, or Aaron Rodgers fell off an even bigger cliff than last year.
A few people, 913-586-7965 on the text line. So what about Darnold? Well, remember, Darnold's not technically a free agent yet, right? They can tag him or they can let him walk. They could also tag and trade. So he's not technically out there yet. Rodgers has already been, they're going to designate to cut him. So, yes, I think Darnold, there's a scenario where the Vikings hold on to him and then make JJ wait another year. But that's the next big domino now. If Stafford is staying in L.A., which that's going to happen now, and Rodgers is having interest from the Giants. I guess it's important to note in that reporting is that it's saying the Giants are targeting him. Is there anybody else targeting Rodgers?
Who? I didn't even think the Giants would want to target
the Raiders, I guess.
Raiders,
yeah.
Do the Raiders.
I don't know, man.
If you're Rodgers, you'd rather just stay in New York where you already got a place and that's a better team right away.
Well, and to me, it doesn't
make
sense.
Malik Neighbors.
If you're the Giants, though, it doesn't make any sense to go after Aaron Rodgers because the Jets at least had a roster that you think, okay, we've got a really good defense. We've got some franchise pieces. We've got Breece Hall, of course. We've drafted the other running back, Braylon Allen. The defense, of course, is really good. We got a team that can win now. The Giants aren't ready to do that. So why not? Not that you're wasting a year, but why would you essentially waste a year, maybe just to get Brian Daboll out of the building, I guess, or to give yourself a reason to do so and actually start over again? Because they're not, even if they get Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers plays well, they're not winning anything. I don't think we can agree with that, especially with how good the division's gotten. I mean, can they actually, if they get Aaron Rodgers, do you think they can make the playoffs? Is there even a shot?
Yeah.
Like a legit shot?
No, I think there's a shot. Yeah.
Because you got to think Commanders,
Division's
Eagles,
tough.
Cowboys could get better if they're healthy.
No, to make the
Vikings,
to make
Lions,
the play,
Packers.
Not to win the
I just think
division.
it's past Rodgers. I think we talk all the time about age. He's 40. Like, I know Tom Brady played until he was 45. He's like the one genetic gift of God, apparently, when it comes to being an older quarterback in the league. I think part of the reason Aaron Rodgers fell off is not just his massive ego and unwillingness to change any part of his life. I think some of it is just the logical stuff. He's old. He suffered from a massive injury. He was already old. Then he suffered a massive injury. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is ever going to look like Aaron Rodgers again. So, like, yeah, he can throw some passes to Malik Neighbors in your fantasy team's probably okay. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers gets you the postseason.
I think
you
at
got to
least-
start fresh. You got to draft another guy. I'm sorry I didn't work with Daniel Jones. Shouldn't have paid him.
Would you guys agree that Aaron Rodgers is at least a better option than Kirk Cousins now? Because
No, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins.
The way that Kirk could not plant his foot last year, he couldn't even throw a ball.
I would have to I would truly have to bring Kirk Cousins. If I was a team, bring in Kirk Cousins for a workout. I got to see you being able to drop back and plant and all of that.
Because at least Aaron Rodgers could do that. It seemed like that.
He can,
At
and
least he could do it.
And he'll, much like Cousins, he'll also be further removed. Remember, Kirk Cousins' Achilles injury occurred later on in the year, so he was less prepared to come back. I would have to see Kirk Cousins at a workout if I were a team trying to sign him.
Including the leadership part, I would much rather. Like, if you put both on the table, free agent, both $30 million, I would sign Kirk Cousins first.
There's also
nobody's going to question the distraction and in trying to take control of the situation. Like, what's better in that regard? But also, like, if Aaron Rodgers is flat out better, there's a chance he is. I have to see Cousins if I'm one of these teams that might sign him, man.
He's not even a free agent yet. There's a rumor
Falcons
that the
gonna hold
Falcons
on to
might. What on? What? Because you just don't want to eat the money? Sorry.
You're paying what, $27.5 million? Was it to?
You're gonna pay.
so.
You're gonna
to
pay
a backup.
You're gonna pay $30 million
And
to have him back up your guy.
in their mind, they're like, well, we're not paying our rookie quarterback anything, so they're like, it's no different.
and if the
But you don't
Giants-
get the advantage of it anymore, you know.
The Giants could do exactly what the Falcons did though last year, where essentially they bring him in. Of course, it's not as much money, but they could bring him in and then draft a quarterback right afterwards. And then I don't know if Kirk Cousins wants to be in that situation again. Obviously, he might have no choice. Similar to Aaron Rodgers, where look, dude, we're gonna draft a quarterback and you're gonna have to mentor him. You might get beat out. Like you're gonna have to compete for this job. You're gonna have to hang on to it. It's not like you're gonna just have it. We're not gonna give it to you, which they obviously would like the comfort of that, but they're at a point in their careers where
okay.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, so okay, what about the Steelers then? If Rodgers ends up going to the Giants, and there's just early reporting suggesting that the Giants are targeting him, what do the Steelers do?
Man, that's a
Russ
good
and
question.
Fields are free agents. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are free agents.
They don't have enough capital to trade up, certainly, from wherever they're at, I would assume.
A lot of people thought if you're Rodgers, the Steelers would have been interested. But are the Steelers interested? So far, we haven't seen any indication other than pure speculation to suggest that's the case. So where do they go? The Raiders don't have a quarterback. They're picking sixth. Like,
it feels like the Raiders are more likely. If Rodgers does go to the Giants, it feels like the Raiders are going to have to trade up to get a quarterback, or they might just have to settle and bring in whatever best
Kirk
free
Cousins,
agent is
the
there.
same thing.
I
Same
guess
list
so,
of
yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
if the Vikings don't tag Darnold, though, and I don't think they're just going to let him walk. To me, you got to at least tag and trade him.
The Vikings would trade for him? Yeah, maybe.
Or no, someone would trade for Darnold from the Vikings.
Or I meant the Raiders would trade for him,
for Darnold,
potentially.
yeah.
Or maybe
yeah.
maybe the Steelers, if they... I mean, they've had a quote-unquote mid-tier quarterback ever since Ben Roethlisberger left, essentially.
I just can't imagine Pete Carroll took that job as badly as he wanted to get back into coaching after sitting out for a year. That Pete Carroll's not going to have somebody that's already like a veteran as his quarterback next year. I don't think he's going to not have a veteran QB with him.
How long was his deal? 3 years? Wasn't it?
3 with an option for a fourth, I think, yeah. Someone says Cousins has a no-trade clause. Correct.
Yeah, so like they're not going to.
But he wants to play, right? So like he's also got to. Someone's got to want him either way, and yeah, if he isn't going to be a starter somewhere, then in his mind,
I think he's got to. I think he might just have to live, or he might just have to live with it. Like, hey, we want to trade for you, but we can't make you any promises. I think that's where he's at in his career now with the Achilles.
Might be. He's got to prove to people that he's healthy enough to play the position.
I don't think it's any
like
crazier to think that Kirk Cousins could bounce back if Rodgers can. You know, like I mean, he's 5 years younger, 3 years. How much younger is he than Aaron Rodgers? At least a decent amount younger, I would think.
Yeah, the question again, it's all about it's just the Achilles part. Like,
I just think in year 2, it's likely that you probably have a little more.
He's further removed for sure.
Kirk Cousins is 36, so he's 4 years younger than Rodgers is. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's just why I think it's at least a possibility that they could last longer, or at least there's a possibility.
Especially the way that he played before. I guess before tearing his Achilles, he was playing as good a football as he had always been playing it, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, we all thought, every single person on this show, and I think most of society, thought Kirk Cousins was going to work in Atlanta, right? He was coming off a really good year in Minnesota. They had weapons. It seemed like they were in a good position. I mean, I think we all thought that was going to work. Didn't.
What we didn't understand was that Kirk Cousins was not ready. He's not ready to play football last year.
Yeah, I think that's really what ended up happening.
And the question is, can he get more stability or whatever it may be in confidence as well in the Achilles? Like, will his body allow him to do that? Remember, his injury was later than Rodgers, and he had a different surgery than Rodgers. Rodgers had that more aggressive, exploratory Achilles procedure, remember? That was like the whole thing at the time.
Maybe that's what Kirk needed.
He needs to go get blood spun or whatever in Europe like everyone does when it's like really at the end with your body.
Just go to Germany.
You go get the platelets put in a lab or whatever, then re-inject it into your body. Isn't that what everyone does when it's like time?
Isn't that what McCaffrey had?
The Kobe move.
That's what McCaffrey
did it too.
Rodgers,
it was originally Kobe who I remember.
Yeah, Rodgers didn't have that. His was just I don't know. It was something banned. It was some type of it was some different type of surgery.
So you're saying he potentially violated NFL? I mean, obviously he didn't because he was suspended. No, I'm just saying if there was any not illegal, but there was a way that something that was banned. I mean, you said banned something.
No. The procedure was called something banned.
Okay. I thought you were saying B-A-N-N-E-D.
I mean, that would rule out.
Okay. Speed bridge is actually what it was called. He underwent a procedure called a speed bridge. It's designed to expedite the healing process. That's why he was able to return quicker.
That's not even to mention who the hell's starting in Pittsburgh.
That's what. Yeah,
I mean, it's like I don't know who any of these quarterbacks are. I guess Stafford's gonna end up, or I guess Rodgers gonna end up with a starting job. I don't know.
I mean,
Is he not burning enough bridges? He tore that team apart. He made them take every single member of the Packers.
Do you think Mike Tomlin could hone him in?
No. Maybe.
Absolutely. Rodgers has to go to a place with a coach that's been there for more than 2 years. Has to.
I honestly think I'd prefer to be like a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, Brian Daboll's not that.
No.
Not at all.
He's like a gonna be fired in a year coach. He's gonna bring up.
They have to make the playoffs, and even then, it might not be good enough.
I guess that's why he's doing it. But also, like,
that's why you should draft the rookie.
Yeah, you can save your job if he looks somewhat capable. Sometimes they'll let you keep it. Now, not in Eberflus case, but he was also a buffoon. Like, if you're epically bad, well, there's no choice. You're just gonna run into these problems kind of no matter what.
I mean, if they draft, because I think Caleb Williams towards the back half of it looked like he was getting better and better.
Schefter's updated the reporting since Diana Rossini's initial report just now. So Schefter is saying the Giants are looking into Aaron Rodgers along with all of the other veteran quarterbacks. It's a little bit different reporting than just Aaron Rodgers gets the headline. Also, they're looking
into
trying
to over-leverage themselves in a contract.
Yeah, they're looking into Russell Wilson as well. Then, and Kirk Cousins again requires a trade. So, but Justin Fields.
I still think Cousins should just get cut, but I guess we'll see what the Falcons do with that. Is Heist okay? He said he'd be in by now. I'm worried about him. I just want to make sure he's
I haven't got a text yet.
Okay.
I haven't got a text yet. I'm sure
I don't want him banging on the door downstairs.
I got in Gold's ear about a few minutes ago, and
he had all of this garage door issue.
Yeah.
Which I need a deeper explanation on exactly how it was not closing. Somebody said they had an exact issue as that. It was the sun shining on the sensor. You need covers on the sensor so that the sunlight can't stop
it. I just wouldn't allow it to close because I thought somebody was walking underneath. Huh.
Maybe. Dang. But you can always pull the emergency tab,
I don't know. I think I might have seen him.
You pull the red lever, it releases it from the opener, and then you just close it yourself.
I thought I might have just seen him walk by, but we'll see if he walks in the door.
He knows where the studio is. He worked here for a number of years.
I don't know if he would just walk in, though. Or not.
I mean, somebody let him in. Oh, walk in the studio? He should.
You want me to go check?
Yeah, go see. I think he might be out there talking to people. I could be way off. I don't know if he knows if he's waiting for us to go to break, which we're not going to break for another 8 to 10 minutes. So
he is out there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that was him. So we'll
you
get
correctly saw.
I think we'll. Do we have headphones for him? Get some. We'll get that. We'll get that taken care of as well. It is a Fan Club Friday here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Ben Heisler going to join us momentarily. I would say 96.5 the Fan alum, but really he's 6'10 alum. You know, he's really just a 6'10" alum.
He's out there. I said he can come on whenever. Yeah.
There he is. There he is. We were hoping that you were wearing the mascot costume or something. We'll let you get a headset on and everything. He's fresh from work. We're going to figure out what the hell was going on with his garage door as well. Drew, which mic should he sit at? You just
anyone.
Any mic?
Any mic.
Any of them work, I guess. Until they don't work. We'll find out, you know how that can be. So we'll get him hooked up as well.
He works. He knows.
That's exactly right. We'll
He
get him
knows that stuff
a
doesn't
drink
work
as well.
sometimes. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's to be expected, I would say, at least on this end. Heist, can I get you a drink?
Yeah.
Okay. See?
He says it's tax season. I need one. That's exactly right.
How long does is it busy like January 1st till like the end of, whatever, tax day, April 15th?
Yeah, April 15th will be when. First of all, it's good to see you both.
Yeah,
thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this is busy time. You can make the argument that from some of the work we do, it's busy time, like with the several months leading up to it, because you're getting all the campaigns together and you're trying to figure out, like, how are we going to make our message interesting and effective and get people to want to file? So you get like a little bit of a break. Like summer's honestly perfect, and then it's just ramp up and roaring again.
Just convince people like, hey, you should do your taxes.
You
should.
With us. Yes, it's fun.
Especially those of you out there sports
Alex
betting.
does his entire family's taxes.
You got to report that income from sports wagering, folks.
Can I tell you something too?
Yeah.
Especially with and this is gonna sound like such a ploy, but I promise you it's not. Like I didn't go in and be like, hey, can I get a plug for today? Like a lot of the laws are actually changing, and especially like for people that are doing March Madness pools, like if you do it through PayPal or Venmo, that tax law is changing. The threshold of where you're actually reporting it is changing. So you probably want to talk to somebody who knows a thing or two before the new look IRS starts knocking on your door.
That's a whole other topic of conversation and everything.
So what happened with the garage door?
Yeah.
So I have a tendency, and you guys have known this about me for a while. Like I tend to run borderline on time / a little bit late. It's been process that I've been working on for a long time. And so I recognize that, okay, I need to give myself X amount of time to come from my house back to the studio. And I get out knowing that, okay, I have about like a 5-minute window between when I leave. I even checked traffic, you guys. And
you were ready to go.
I go, and my car is already outside. So I figured, okay, there shouldn't be any issue here. And I'm closing the garage door. I'm hitting the button on the remote, and it goes like, and stops. It doesn't even go back. Oh, that's weird. Hit it again. Now it's just stuck in place.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, maybe something's stuck. So I went around. I checked. I went through everything. I even got like cleaning spray and sprayed down some parts of like I got like WD-40.
Did you even know what you were spraying, or were you just like guessing?
I had no idea.
Okay. Yeah,
I had no clue. But I'm looking and I'm trying to find whatever I can to just get this thing to move. I tried manually doing it.
Did you release the lever that makes it manual?
What lever?
There's a red pull tab.
There was no time, Cody. I had to
There's
get
a red
here.
pull tab. It takes 2 seconds.
It says like emergency thing or whatever
just pull
on
it, then it releases it from the machine, and then you can
I
just
didn't know
close
anything
it.
about
Then
that.
you can manually
Good
open and close.
news.
Because let's say you were at home
and you lost power. They got to give you the
that
ability
would've been
to open or
helpful
close
to
the
know.
garage.
They didn't teach you that. See, these are the things they should be teaching you in school.
Like what, man school? What do you
home ownership
Is this like
101.
home? They
It should be right up
replace
there.
home ec. You sew a button, and then they show you how to pull a manual lever in the garage.
Appeal it to as many different people. It should be up there with media literacy and learning how to do your taxes.
Yeah, no
you know
question.
What? Those do feel like important things. Now you'll know. When you go back, right where the garage door opener is in your garage, there's a red tab. It's like it's on a string. You just pull it down and
Like on
release
the
it.
actual opener itself.
Yeah, it just hangs from the opener.
Okay.
Yeah, right in the
In
middle.
most
Right,
cases,
usually
I
it's
mean,
like
yeah.
right there in the middle of your garage door,
door,
basically, is where it would be.
Do you guys want to know what? You guys want to know what the problem was?
Yes.
The sensors were off.
Oh, they just got turned a little.
That's all it was.
They just constantly if they
Something knocked into it or
if you
something.
accidentally kick one and all of a sudden
Yeah.
it like thinks it's pointing at the roof, it's like trying not to crush somebody to death. Logically,
Well, at least it was nothing big to expensive to fix. It was just a quick little
Correct.
adjustment.
No, that'll be for anything else around the house is when something expensive comes
Home
into
ownership
play.
it might be a scam. I don't want to say for sure, but the amount of stuff you have to fix in it, it's hard to say.
Nobody tells you this. It's like having a kid. You know, and when your partner is pregnant and you're waiting, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so exciting! It's it's a tough job, but it's the best job you ever do."
They're
And
trying
then
to
the
even
kid
the playing
comes,
field.
and then they're just laughing at you. They're like, "Welcome to your worst nightmare."
We just, you know what it is? We don't want to talk you out of, playing with the same set of rules, Now you see how hard it is to do we want you in the same boat. Misery loves company,
But then do that before your wife or your partner gets pregnant.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Once they're pregnant, I guess you're kind of in for it. I might as well
at
just
that
warn
point, you might as well give me like the real talk of the conversation.
Coming up in about 12 minutes, real quick, we'll get to snitch line here. We'll do a snitch line. We meant to do it yesterday, but the Trey Smith deal and the franchise tag happened. But snitch
you're
line,
welcome for that as a Bears fan.
Yeah, I'm sure you're thrilled that Trey Smith's not
no,
available.
great.
So Trey Smith screwed up our snitch line yesterday.
Oh, no.
So we're going to do that today in about 10 minutes or so. Anything you need to get off your chest, text line. Anonymously, something happened around the office, something you did recently, you didn't want anybody to know, that's what it's for. 913-586-7965.
You mentioned kids.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you, how old are yours now?
My oldest is 5.5. He's going to be 6 at the end of the school year.
So is he in kindergarten or is
He's
he in
in
preschool?
kindergarten.
Okay, great. Then we're in the same boat.
Okay.
My
There we
kid's
go.
older. He's 6, but just, birthday's hit or whatever.
Yeah.
He is in kindergarten. How would you handle the situation? Desmond has been in love, I would say, for a number of weeks. He's been talking about this girl. He claims at one point that she said that she was his girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
But yesterday, he's been right, he spent like 30 minutes making her Valentine versus everyone else's that he put I like you on. He put I love you on hers.
Smart kid.
So it's been detailed. Yesterday, he got a little bit of hot water.
Oh, no.
Because she kissed him on the cheek, and they had to go through the whole lesson of you can't kiss at school.
They frown on public displays of affection.
Dude,
in
it's kindergarten. They just don't want you pretending to have a girlfriend or whatever. And do I need to do anything here, or just be like,
No.
I feel like at this point I'm just like, they're 6. They don't know what's going on. They're just like, they think they know what love is.
No, it's funny because for a while, actually last year, there were reports that Micah and one of the other girls in his class were in a very similar situation and or predicament. Now, she was the older one, so she was a little bit more. This sounds weird because they're fighting aggressive.
I think this other girl is
in the pursuit of it.
More of the instigator in this situation.
You think the girl is more the instigator?
I think. Well, she was the one who kissed him, right? It wasn't like he didn't.
Yeah.
He was immediately worried about being in trouble.
Oh, he was
not interested in the kiss. He said that made sense because they're in love.
Okay,
But he did not give the kiss.
Yeah.
She kissed him on the cheek.
Okay, that's perfectly reasonable. I think the teachers are set up to handle this.
Okay, so
I think you're there to support him. You'd be like, oh, so you're interested in it? What do you like about it? Like, if you can teach him how to kind of maneuver the situation,
So he had
then
to
I
learn-
think that's your role, and then let the teacher handle the disciplinary portion of it.
His goal point, I had to learn 2 very important life lessons. So first time, she broke up with him. We said,
no.
why did she break up? He said, well, there was a time when they're taking turns drumming, and he got to choose the next person to drum and did not choose her. She hit him with the heart breaking and ended it. That's how he described it. I sent a video to Alex. She hit him with the broken heart hands and said, it's done. And then the person who he chose to drum is the person who ratted him out on the kiss. So now he's got a friend who snitched, and he had to learn the lesson of, you got to choose her first. It's tough. It was a tough week for Desmond.
Wow, that's a lot to be able to take in. Like, did he try to choose the person who ratted him out as an olive branch?
I think he was just choosing him because he's just in class and choose who drums
I'm
next. and just chose the kid.
over-evaluating the mindset.
No,
and
he
perspective
chose
of the kindergarten.
he chose the kid before the ratting out happened. Right? This was earlier in the week.
Oh,
No,
so
this
that's
was
what
the kid.
caused.
The kid
That's what
betrayed him
caused
after
the
what the
break.
hell with that kid?
He betrayed him after.
Wow, you let him drum right after you, and then that's the type of
That's right.
This is the behavior I get in return.
That's a kid you stay
That's what he
away
said.
from.
Great life lesson. It really is. You never know who to trust. Things can shift in a relationship very quickly.
That's tough, man. Tough to be in kindergarten.
Up next, we'll continue a little fan club Friday. We got our guy Ben Heisler, Benny Heiss. We'll talk a little about the Chiefs and maybe the NFL in general with the news today. That Aaron Rodgers being pursued by the Giants, Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams, plus a snitch line Friday here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
So you want a greener, thicker, healthier lawn? You need the local experts. I'm Noah with Gunter Pest and Lawn. My family's been helping Kansas City homeowners since 1950. You know us for bugs, but have you heard about our 7-step lawn care service? Our customers love having the best lawn on the block. No contracts, expert technicians, and our treatments typically cost less than doing it yourself. Starting as low as $50 per application. Go Gunter, go green.
Visit GunterPest.com.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and it's time to make a big deal out of nothing. Announcing Lee Summit Subaru's 0% event. Zero, like in 0% financing. Zero is back. Up to 0% financing on select 2024 and 2025 Subaru models for 72 months. And we're 2024 Google's highest review rated and only locally owned Subaru retailer in Kansas City. 0% event. The Subaru A Lot to Love event at Lee Summit Subaru.
Google highest review rated Subaru retailer in Kansas City based on Google Analytics.
What's up, guys? We know athletes train every single day to perform better on the field, but what if you could improve your performance in the bedroom with no training required? That's right. I'm talking about Blue Chew. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better and have you feeling fantastic. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. You want a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Just chew it and do it.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on a Fan Club Friday, it's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Our guest today, Ben Heisler, 6'10 alum. As I joked, you're not a 96.5 alum. I get 6'10 alum, Ben Heisler.
That's true. Yeah, since not even like it's my old stomping grounds, but it's like the address has changed and there was like a whole makeover and everything, and yet I still feel at home. Isn't that crazy? Like I left 6'10 March of 2018.
Jeez.
So like we're going on 7 years, you guys, but because
It's been that long.
It's been that long. But because like I still have relationships with you guys and with CDOT and Dusty and about like the rest of the show, like I'll still come on and talk some betting and just shoot the breeze with you guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long of a time, and it's honestly like I'm very proud of that. Because it's still nice to be able to make those in-rounds with listeners. Who are like, hey, I heard you with Cody and Gold the other day. And I'm like, how do you know who I am or what I look like? It was a million years ago. It's like, oh no, there's still that connection. Or I used to listen to The Drive with you and Danny and see that. Like, it's a very humbling experience to know that, like, even for just a small portion of time, you still were able to like make an impact here in Kansas City. So I love coming back here.
We'll get to the snitch line in just a bit. Reminder, 913-586-7965. Anything you want to get off your chest that you've been holding on to, that you've done, that you witnessed around the office, that's what the snitch line is for. You mentioned betting. Obviously, I've had you on my betting show a couple times as well. We were talking during the break about baseball season. We're excited for that.
Yeah.
What's your feeling? Do you have a baseball bet or anything that you've already placed for this upcoming season? Because we were taking a look at some of the odds out there, and this division is going to be neck and neck again.
It is. The problem is that I feel like all the really interesting plays that I want to be on, it's just I feel like I missed the boat.
Okay.
So somebody like Sanchez is a Cy Young candidate. Like that's numbers dropped down to I think like 50 or 60. A buddy of mine was looking at him at 100 to 1. I don't necessarily like Vlad is an MVP candidate that I think like this is the year where like
contract
year waiting for everything to be put together, or if he gets traded from Toronto and he goes to another very hitter friendly park and he just mashes. And like we've seen guys that have had that insane 2.5 month stretch where they get traded from the deadline and just go nuts. And so I feel like Vlad could be very easily that guy.
I like that angle.
Do I want to get him at like 14 to 1 right now? Probably not. I think for baseball season it'll probably just get to opening day and I'll be like, all right, what do I want to put some skin in
the
on?
award, like the big one last year that we liked was
we had Royals 30 to 1 to win the division. We placed that back in January.
Yeah, the Vinny injury just destroyed us.
Yeah.
Just destroyed every hedging opportunity possible. The Cole Reagans one. He was 80 to 1.
That's
I have
right.
an 80 to 1 to lead the big league in strikeouts, and he came very close, but he didn't win it. This year he's like 20 or 30 to 1 to do that. It's like I'm not betting him at 20 to 1 to do it now.
I did have Paul Skeens at 45 to 1 to win Cy Young last year.
Okay.
Now it's now people
now
are even money.
Yeah, he's
It's like
3 to 1,
3 to 1. Maybe you can find some books at plus 350, plus 375. Again, all it takes is one pitch and he throws out his elbow and he's done.
Right.
So at this point, it's probably not worth it for Skeens. And like, there's also that he should win it. Like, I don't see any reason why if he's healthy and he's pitching, he doesn't be that. He's not that guy. But it's pitching. Like you've already tried for so long to be able to manifest itself into consistency, and it's just the one caveat in baseball that you really can't find it. You really can't. Do you guys look at this team though in a fairly similar realm as last year? Because
now the bar has been heavily raised for me. Like my expectation is to win the Central.
Although what we told him, it's really hard to go back to the postseason if you're not one of the high budget teams.
I agree with that. Like I feel like so many things went right for their pitching staff last year, and I just don't know. The ballpark plays well. There's still a pitch to contact team. It's still a very pitcher friendly ballpark, and then having Vinny back will be massive. But there is that regression to the mean that kind of scares me a little bit, and also in an improved division.
Yeah, I think we've acknowledged the starting pitching. If there's an area where they're going to be worse,
they're going to be way better in the bullpen.
The rotation because of either injury or just regression from guys like Lugo. But as Cody just mentioned, the bullpen I think is going to be worlds better.
I agree with that.
The question is, if the starting pitching is down, bullpen's better, is the offense the same, or can they elevate? And that's the big question. And if they're at least right there in the divisional race near the trade deadline, are they willing to go trade for another bat in the outfield at that point in time to go and get them over the hump to win the division?
I think they'll be about the same. You want to know the honest. Like Salvi will come back to earth a little bit, but somebody else will be a little bit better.
Right.
And it'll all be one giant wash, essentially. Like, there's no real downgrade, I think. Vinny is who he is as a hitter. I think Bobby is who he is as a hitter. Like, some of those guys, I don't think there's a lot of sway. Even India has been a really consistent guy in the big league level. But, like, Salvi probably comes back to earth a little bit. He is in his 30s and had a tremendous offensive year. But, like, somebody else will be slightly better, too. I don't know, like, way better, but enough to make up the difference for whatever they're losing in Salvi.
And I'd like to see them keep that momentum from last year and win those games that you say you don't really have to worry about in April, and just make the process down the stretch a little bit easier. I know that there's the mindset of, well, if you play really well down the stretch, that's going to help come playoff time. You're already been playing playoff games for the last month, but if you're talented enough and you're able to get rest for those guys when you need it, so many teams, like, I just don't feel like it's discussed enough that when you're playing so hard down the stretch and no guys are taking days off, at some point that does come back and burn you. Maybe a few instances you can ride that wave, but more often than not, that doesn't end with a World Series. And I'd like to see that for them. I'd like to see a good, fast start for the Royals this year.
Every year, man. Just one decent April. That's all I'm asking for. Just a good April makes everyone feel good. Last year they started 0-2. I felt like they needed that Brady Singer win on the third start. You're like, please.
It felt that big already.
Please.
Yeah. It was.
You can't do this again.
First week of the season is like you can't start this thing 2-5. Or so you can't.
Are they still 82.5?
I think so. I think at last check, that's kind of where they're at, and what they won 86 last year.
And you're both leaning over?
I am. I don't know if Cody's as confident as I am.
Yeah, so, like, I guess I'm not as... no, I do think they'll be in the playoffs again this year. I'm just, I guess... I don't know if I'm hedging my own bet, but it's just like I'm cautious that it is very difficult to go to the postseason and back-to-back year. 50% of playoff teams from the year before didn't make it.
Right.
And that's not including all of the Dodgers of the world who get to just go back to the playoffs with a blank check,
No, I hear you as we talked earlier. I just think...
I think they're in a good place. They're all very young, a lot of talent.
Oh, for sure.
You won 86 games, you made the playoffs, and for me to say, with virtually the same roster, but additions to Jonathan India and a better bullpen,
right?
Even if I agree with you on regression, possibly, how am I now going to say my expectation is not the postseason? I feel like that's letting them off way too easy.
Agreed.
To be like, oh no, I'm fine with just 80, no big deal.
It's probably the lifetime Royals fan of me where I'm trying to just like prepare.
Sure. Look, my expectation is to win the division, but if they win 87 games and are a wild card team, it's not a bad season or anything. Trust me. A bad season is going back to winning 70 games this year or something. That's a bad year. If all of a sudden they won 70 games, a bunch of crap went wrong for them.
That's kind of the nice part, is that I feel like expectations this year are within that window that kind of makes sense. It's not as if, well, everything could go well and this could be a 95-win team. I don't think anyone's expecting that. But you're also thinking, well, if everything hits the fan, they're not a 70-win team either. They're probably somewhere in that
80s. Yeah.
78 to 84, 85 win range.
I think in a good season, like, I honestly think they did not downgrade anywhere. Like, and that should be undersold. They were the most active team in the American League Central in free agency, including fixing their entire bullpen.
Yep.
And every other part of the roster is the same, other than the only argument is Brady Singer.
Yeah.
Is that you lost Brady Singer, but you got better in the lineup because of India. So even if that's just a wash, plus I like their pitching depth to replace Singer. He's an average Major League Baseball starter. I think you can find that in a lot of areas.
Well, yeah, the number one
worse anywhere.
The number one concern is definitely a guy like Lugo regresses, or hey, Salvador Perez, Father Time finally hits him.
Right.
I don't think it's going to, but that's the concern. He had it kind of, his numbers last year were best numbers he had in multiple years. I mean, it was an unbelievable season for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And imagine a hot start for MJ. Imagine the type of confidence that would be.
Right,
because we just
he's
haven't
the
seen
worst
it.
player the first 60 days of the year.
Yeah.
He eventually gets hot in July.
Yes, but if he gets off to a hot start, I think that changes the entire perspective of what this team can be.
Him figuring it out, all of a sudden, that is how they end up getting to the 92-plus win mark or something. Absolutely.
Which is wild to think, like, for somebody they're like, well, we have no idea what we're going to get from him. If all of a sudden, like, that's the catalyst that really pushes them to the top, it's pretty wild.
All right, let's get to a little snitch line here. We meant to do this yesterday. The Trey Smith news broke in the middle of it. 913-586-7965. We got Hyson. I don't know if you've done a snitch line with us before.
I have not. No, this is the first time.
We opened like this happened during COVID.
This started during COVID. You remember when, during the bubble, they had the hotline, which was a snitch line for people
to tell each other
to call in and say, hey, we saw so-and-so sneaking in somebody or out of the bubble.
Yeah.
So we said, let's do a snitch line as well, and we've done it ever since.
I like this. It sort of combines the snitch line and a little bit of like we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah. We could actually change the name to that. We listen, we don't judge.
So it can be snitching on yourself.
This is every day on the radio, let's be honest.
It could be, no kidding. It could be something you saw from a coworker. Let's start this one off. Here we go. Someone says, I'm snitching on my girlfriend's sister for not coming over to the Super Bowl party. It's her fault that we lost because she had previously came over to the past Super Bowl parties they won. She didn't show up. I'm a very superstitious person.
Why'd she miss?
I don't know. So you're blaming your...
She's sick?
I don't know.
I pulled up some from
That
yesterday.
is a key caveat that we're missing from this story.
All right, if you got to follow up on the text line, you got to follow up with that one.
Yeah, my wife missed her brother's wedding because our son was born. Like, there's a reason why we missed the wedding.
Pretty good reason.
Pretty good
you know?
reason. Yeah, and so, I mean, hopefully he's not superstitious.
I pulled up some from yesterday for the people who wanted to snitch yesterday but couldn't. This one says it's specifically for Drew from the 816. I've been popping Blue Chew at work throughout the day because performance-enhancing qualities of the pill.
Good for you.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Proper response.
I mean, I always say
fantastic.
work harder, not smarter.
Chew into it.
Whatever gets the job done, you know?
Turn oh no into oh yes.
People are saying that you teased...
I what?
You teased a self-snitch about him and an ex-girlfriend yesterday.
I forgot about that. I said easily the worst I ever felt as a boyfriend after the fact, like when you realize I was dating a girl in high school, and I was a senior or junior, I don't know. I was in high school and she had gone to college. We dated
that a guy?
while we were in high school, but she had gone to college. You know, obviously, the distance is it's gonna kill every high school relationship. But she came back from college to surprise me on like a Friday night. She came back from college and been like, I'm here. And somebody was already in the house. It was a different girl. Not that I was dating, not that I was trying to date, but just like we were friends. I swear we were just friends. But it was like, she came over and I was like, I already got plans with her, so I'll see you later. And I was like, that was easily the biggest dirtbag move of all time. But I was in high school. Everyone's kind of a dirtbag in high school, right?
It's funny because we
I
were
blew
having
off my girlfriend at the time for just hanging out with somebody else.
were we not
I said I
having
had plans already.
Were
I'm
we
sorry.
not having this conversation off air? The things that we would tell like the high school versions of ourselves. If a girl comes back from college to surprise you,
you gotta hang out with her.
Yeah, you got to.
Even if you're not, but like, you know what? I didn't want to hang out with her, which was probably a sign that we shouldn't have been together anymore.
Probably.
That relationship didn't work out. Who knew?
913-586-7965. Someone says, I'm snitching on Benny. This is for you.
Really? Okay.
Somehow knowing, this is a good one though, actually. Somehow knowing Brock Bowers was going to go to the Raiders and winning everybody money in the Discord channel. Was that you? Was that you?
Did I not?
That called the Brock Bowers to the Raiders?
Yes, I got it from a source.
Yeah.
And
People are happy. I think that you
right.
won money for
Oh,
people.
so it's a positive
It's a positive snitch.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sometimes, they're not all negative. It just depends. They're usually negative.
Trust me,
but-
I've revealed some terrible plays in
No,
the
of course,
Discord
well,
too.
yeah.
We're all
Yeah,
gonna get some crap ones. No, that one came across, and I said, "Oh, this is intriguing." It was 101 for Bowers.
Yeah, it's a hell of a...
That was a nice surprise
That's a good
to
hit.
the NFL draft.
From the 816, someone says, snitch line, my friend Jake is a fake Royals fan. What does that mean? What is if you're named Jake, why are you a fake Royals fan? Just because they got good last year?
I guess he only showed
or
up.
fair weather. Because fair weather, I actually think I somewhat support.
Well,
Can I say
your
that?
team stinks for a long time, and like you get back
You're a
into the
Bears
swing
fan.
of
You
things.
recognize that.
That's right.
It's been tough, I'm sure, to be
You
a
guys
Bears
have
fan
seen
for
the
a while.
amount of Chiefs stuff that I wear. Like,
Your kids are Chiefs fans, aren't they?
Of course. Like, you know my running joke. You know, but people ask if my kids are Bears fans or Chiefs fans, and I said Chiefs fans. Like, I want them to be happy. I don't want them to be miserable. Why would I do that
Good
to my
time to be a
kids? I love
Chiefs
my
fan.
kids.
See, you gotta convince our producer Drew to have that same mentality with his future kids. Maybe don't
he's a Bengals fan.
let them be
He's
a
a
Bengals
Bengals fan?
fan. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the Bengals at least are interesting.
Yeah, but they've
What's
never
been
won a
interesting
single
about the
Super
Bears?
Bowl.
They haven't won a Super Bowl, but
I
they
think
have.
that's the reason that you should cheer for them. If you're gonna pick somebody that's random, pick somebody who hadn't won before. You didn't hop on the bandwagon late.
Well, define one before, like, ever? Like, because I've never seen the Bears win a Super Bowl. The
You
last
also
Super Bowl was
don't-
1985.
You don't win a prize for like being the fan first. Like I always think like people. Like,
I'm not asking
this is
for a
like,
prize.
but that's
I'm
what
not-
that's why I don't care about fair weather fans. Like, well, you didn't cheer for them. They're like, good. They didn't deserve my attention until they were good.
I do think, Cody, though, that Kansas City Chiefs fans always have said, I remember back in the day when I was a fan, and man, the Chiefs
They
sucked.
do wear it as a
were
point
not
of
very
pride.
good.
I don't think they should wear it as a point of pride either. You don't get extra
I
points
disagree
because
with
you
that.
cheered for Tyler Palco.
So it's not about. It's not
you
about.
can appreciate it more.
It's not about extra
That's
points.
Cool.
It's not about extra points, but I think that usually it's in reference to, especially if you don't live in the city, right? So let's say you lived in, Austin, Texas, and you didn't ever wear any Chiefs stuff, and all of a sudden in 2020,
You should be welcoming
all of a sudden you became a Chiefs fan. I think that's more what people mean. Not like if you were in this town and you didn't go to games until recently, that's cool. But I think it's more if you lived in a different city and never once referenced the Chiefs, and then now you are, that's what I think some people are talking about.
It's the equivalent of knowing a band before they got big. Like it's a cool point
We all
of
like
pride.
Blink-182. I'm glad you saw him somewhere.
Right, exactly. You have a story of seeing a band at like a local bar with like 100 of your closest friends, and you thought, oh, these guys are gonna be good someday. And then you can talk about it like it's a community builder, but it shouldn't necessarily be how you dictate.
We
your
shouldn't judge
fandom.
other fans because
We listen
they
and we
didn't
don't
also
judge.
they also didn't get to that bar.
Correct.
Like I'm sorry they didn't get to that bar. He was,
Someone wants to know if you personally will do someone's taxes. You personally.
No.
Gold does his and his sisters usually. I don't know if he still
Not
does
them
sisters.
anymore, just my parents.
That's why we have. That's why we have over 70,000 tax professionals across the country. There's a reason why they are tax professionals, and that I work in our corporate communications team. I'm not a tax professional. I recommend people use a tax professional.
Talk about learning lessons as even adults. From the 864 accidentally snitch line, I accidentally suggested my wife she should wear Spanx to help her pants fit better. I thought she would appreciate the support and suggestion.
Jeez. Oh, gosh.
No suggestion.
Oh, gosh.
I didn't read the rest. Gets darker after that.
It says, I love wearing compression clothes when I put some extra. Can't read the rest.
Nah, I'd stop there. I'd stop there.
The whole whenever your partner tells you that they want honest advice, like it's to a point. Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be a point.
You get in hot water recently?
Four
with that?
sheepish looks across the room.
Look, I don't think I've been with my wife so long. You think in 20 years I've never put my foot in my mouth?
Of course. Yeah. Of course
A couple times a year at this point. I'm down to like a couple times a year. But it still exists. The worst one, I think, the one that was the worst maybe ever when our entire relationship was, I'm not very good at
Did she come in to surprise you? Is that what happened?
No. It's just like,
You're with somebody else.
I don't do well with like, I do better now, but like I didn't do well with like highly emotional circumstances. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just dead to the world. What's good? And it was, and like when people were being sick, and I'm not very sympathetic to those who are sick.
Okay.
And we were early in the relationship, and she was sick, this whole. And I was like, "Hey, can you stop coughing?" And like that's the way I said it. She wasn't feeling good. She was sick.
Oh my
And she
goodness.
immediately went to tears. I'm like, "Hey, can you like? Can we just like cool it for a second?" I'm way better now.
Oh my gosh.
I did not handle that great.
Ouch.
I did not handle that great. It was pretty rough, Ben. It was pretty rough.
I'm glad you learned from it, though.
That's his point. The point is to learn from your
Right.
mistakes.
We are constantly growing every day. And trying not to make the same mistake twice or 3 times or 4 times. But it would be nice if we learned what the mistake was, if they would just tell us. Instead of having to figure it out on our own.
Yeah, occasionally But I think we make them guess too,
Yeah.
We bottle it all up.
We're obviously excited. Royals baseball is coming up here on 96.5 The Fan. And
Wait, is it? Is it up on today?
over the next month or two.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so people were wondering if the play-by-play voice was ready and excited for the season as well.
You still got it?
It's been a while. Well, at least it's nice to go into a season where expectations are high. But then, something I learned a long time ago, they always said to undersell, but overdeliver. So I'm here to tell you that the Royals will be, they'll be all right. Steve has the totals, and we'll be right back.
Oh, still got
Feels
it.
right.
You still got it. You still got it.
You got to practice. Are you adding new things to the repertoire, even though you're not in radio anymore? You just do it with your kids? You probably do like a Killer Bluey or something, you know? It's like, eventually you got to add to the mix.
Killer
You can do
Bluey.
Bandit, right? You get asked to change the game.
I can't do dance mode again. No, I just sound like a bad Crocodile Dundee. No, like I do need to update the repertoire. I'll hear voices all the time, and I've never actually shared this before. At some point in my life, I'd love to do like a voice-related podcast or show where I talk to impressionist comics, voiceover actors, and just like you kind of like work out the bit and kind of go by. Like I had a conversation with Hank Azaria a long time ago, and he kind of walked me through where Mo came from. He's like, well, with Mo started off as Al Pacino, but then with more gravel. And he's like, okay, so that's how like the whole process comes together. And I always found that stuff fascinating. So one day, well, maybe when my kids are a little more grown up, self-sufficient, I'll have time to put together the voices in my head.
That's the key.
Podcast.
I figured asking you because someone suggested they want. I asked Denny Matthews. Someone said Bruce Weber, but we needed something a little more timely. Bruce Weber, he hasn't been a head coach for a couple years.
Well, listen, there's a lot of kids playing hard. It's March. It's always a good time to, work hard on the play hard chart. And see, that's already.
Am I the only person that Bruce Weber got a slightly harder rap because he sounds like a cartoon character? Like, people were quicker to judge him because you can't take him serious with a voice.
Is he the all-time winningest basketball coach at
Probably
K-State?
Tang hasn't been around long enough for it to be him.
And then Frank Martin before that. I don't remember what his record was.
I remember Danny.
Remember right away, Bruce Weber immediately, just much like Drum Tang, year one, year two, they both had plenty of success immediately.
It was weird because I was sort of interconnected in like the Bill Self, Bruce Weber world because I grew up as a University of Illinois fan. That's where my parents went to school. So Bill was there. Obviously, he went to go to KU. Bruce Weber goes from Southern Illinois to Illinois. In the second year, they go to the national championship game. They have an incredible year with Dee Brown and Luther Head and Darren Williams, and then lose to North Carolina. And then, of course, Bruce comes to K-State once I'm here as well. It's just weird how some of those worlds.
Well, he's at Big Ten Network now, so stay away. You don't need to go over there.
Yeah, no, Indiana, Mike Woodson not getting the job done.
They're gonna get what's his name from Michigan?
He's already said no.
Has he officially?
Dusty May said he wants to.
I think you guys should get Chris Jans, the head coach of Mississippi State.
People are talking about Mick Cronin being over there.
Chris Jans used to be an assistant at Wichita State.
I've heard Mick Cronin as well. They won't do it, but they should hire Ben McCollum at Drake.
Ooh, after 1 year, he's unbelievable what he's doing.
Somebody's going to hire him.
Wait, Heist, did you go to IU?
I did.
Nice.
Is that where you went to?
No, I'm from Indianapolis, but
he went to Butler, but he's a Wisconsin fan. Long story.
I was at Indiana during the worst time ever to be an Indiana basketball fan.
Tom Crean?
First 2 years of Tom Crean were my junior and senior year. Freshman and sophomore year were the Kelvin Sampson years.
And now look at Kelvin Sampson,
Let
baby.
him go now.
Where was that?
Now that cheating is legal, he's good.
He didn't even.
I think
he sent text messages.
I think they're gonna. Yeah, now it would not be illegal at all.
He sent text messages.
I do think it was great that Woodson sat in Bobby Knight's chair and they beat Purdue on the same night.
Yeah.
The other night I just saw
they're
that.
playing hard for Mike Woodson. Great. A little too little, too late.
Nice. Great to see you, man.
Great to
Thanks
see
for
you
coming
both.
in studio.
Thanks for having me.
Glad the garage door thing has worked out for you.
Yeah, and hopefully if you know where I live, then you didn't come and rob me now that the door is closed.
Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. It is gorgeous outside, so I'm told. We're about to find out. And that. Hope you guys have a great weekend. The Drive with CDOT coming up next.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
March is almost here, and college